parade.
Yes,
Yes.
that's exactly right. Good memory.
Yes.
That's my daughter Michaela.
I have that playing golf.
Engineer. Fantastic. And Josh, the civil engineer. Oh, I like environmental instead of, sorry, no
Mike, can we move the table just a little bit?
Yeah, try to.
Hold on, Dennis.
You already know too much. No, I'm teasing you. Yeah, right?
She looks really
Thank
good
you.
in like those old fashioned hats.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
You good, Dennis?
I just saw her as a-
Yep, I'm good. I'm on mute.
Call the meeting to order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Trustee Dougleby is on the phone. He's listening in. He has a conference that he's working from remotely, so. Any deletions, changes, additions, corrections to the agenda? I have one. I'd like to move 12 up. We have somebody here from the firm that is presenting tonight, and they have another meeting to go to, so. Any other changes?
I have several additions. I don't know if you want
Round
them
table?
out or round table.
We'll just do them under round table.
Okay.
Dennis, the dog park names are in, so we do need to review that tonight. All the submittals, I have them, a list of submittals, so. And if anybody hasn't gotten their Do Good Dog Park name in yet, you have time, so. Okay, so. Okay, meeting minutes of June 14th, 2021.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Moved by Mike, need a second? Need a second?
Second.
Any changes, deletions, corrections? I have one, Lori. Under the public hearing under the cannabis law, I read the article from the paper that stated that the state legislature, there is still no control board or agency that can create specific rules or regulations for the legal marijuana industry. That it indicates that there will be political disagreement over the appointments, and the legislature left without taking any action. So I can't give you a copy of that, but that's one of the reasons. So, any other changes, deletions, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is abstract 2, dated today, 6/14/2021, in the amount of $84,298.74.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, do you want to through them all? Good. Any questions?
Yes,
All
I
in-
did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 12. So as everybody may not know or may be aware, our comprehensive plan, the first one we did was in 2008. We updated in 2014. A lot has changed over the last 18 months in our country and our village, so I thought it was the time to go ahead and update our comprehensive plan. It has been a valuable tool for all of our grants and everything that we do. We keep a checklist of things that we've accomplished, things that we haven't accomplished, and it's always a tool that we use to guide our village through this. So I reached out to 2 different firms, EDR that did our last one, and B&L, asked them for a price to update our comprehensive plan. Jane Rice is here from EDR, so I'd like Jane to speak about the nuts and bolts of the proposal, and then I'd like to talk with the board trustees.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, so thank you, board, for having me tonight. And just an overview, a summary of our proposal is, as Mark mentioned, is to update the current plan, which was last approved by the board in 2014. And so to do so, we have included tasks that include looking at the plan itself and making sure the vision is still current for the community, ensuring that the inventory and analysis that's currently in the plan is up to date. And then the plan itself, if you're familiar with it, has some focal areas that are identified. So we will take a look at those focal areas. Do they still make sense in light of what has occurred throughout the village? And I would also argue throughout the county since 2014, not just the last 18 months, but we'll start from 2014. We've also included in the proposal some opportunities for the community to be involved. We will run a series of stakeholder group sessions. We will work, I'm assuming there may be either some select individuals that would be an advisory committee on the village side, and so we'll work with that advisory committee to identify those stakeholder groups and then who participates in those groups. In addition, we have 2 public meetings scheduled in our proposal. When we put these proposals together, we try to factor in community engagement at a level that makes sense for the level of effort that we're bringing to the community. So in this case, it's an update. And if the community needs more as we're going through this, and it's, an understanding that, geez, we would like to have either another public meeting or we need a workshop or something like that, it's not that it can't happen, we just need to work with the advisory committee and the board itself, and if everybody's in agreement, then we can, factor that kind of stuff, additional work in.
Okay.
But we try to establish an engagement process that is all-including, all-encompassing. I know the village already has a great website, so we can use that as a digital portal for all information and make sure that the entire process is community-friendly and engaging. And I'd be happy to walk through any particular tasks any board member may have with respect to what we proposed.
I have a couple questions, but I'll let the trustees go. Does any of the trustees have any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna ask your advisory committee, you were going to have any, size of that committee, who would be on it, how would you
Right.
get those people?
It's a great question. We don't want to be presumptive with the community itself, but what we usually advise is somewhere between 7 and 10 folks on the committee. If the community wants it a little smaller, 3 to 5, that can work as well, or a little larger, that can work. So we would talk to you about that. Exactly who is on the committee, our approach is typically to include representation from your various boards. If you have particular, and I know of the different boards who are involved, so I would get a representation from them. You certainly want someone from Parks, there's a tree committee. You just want to bring in those folks who are really knowledgeable of the community because they're going to bring great advice to the process. And again, an advisory committee is not a replacement for the Board of Trustees. You're the ones who have the ultimate decision-making power and responsibility. So the advisory committee is just to make sure that the process is running smoothly and on track and in line with what the community wants, right? We're here to help facilitate the process, not make decisions for the community, if that makes sense.
It does. We had a similar setup last time.
We
We
did.
did planning, zoning, historic, parks, trees. We had somebody, one trustee was a liaison, and then we had somebody from the Chamber of Commerce, I think, as well as maybe the DPW or fire department we
I
had,
was
and
just gonna-
codes.
I was just
So,
gonna say that,
yep.
you need, at
Yeah.
least DPW, fire, codes, and, or, a few of those, individuals could be invited to certain committee meetings if we need input at that time, and if they're, we wanna make sure we don't overstretch any one particular person or department,
Correct.
so.
Why particularly doing it just after a pandemic? Could you shed some light on that? Why, you mentioned that doing it
I
right
don't-
after a pandemic.
Yeah, that's a great question. At least from my knowledge, the relationship to the pandemic, starting this process is not so much a direct relationship as it is the timing, 2014, 2020, 21, it's about time to refresh your
Correct.
comprehensive plan. We always recommend communities refresh, that's one way I phrase it, renew, refresh, update their plans every 5 to 7 years. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it moving. If you've identified recommendations and action steps that have already taken place, that's great, that's a wonderful achievement, and you wanna know that, and then you wanna bring in the next, phase, if you will, or the next evolution for the plan. So I think the timing is just coincidental, at least from my perspective. I don't see any particular experience here in the village as a consequence of the pandemic that would warrant immediately, oh my God, we gotta go fix this plan. I don't see that. I just see the timing, at least that's how I understand it. It was a timing thing. Excuse me, if you don't mind, We worked with the community last year. We started their update right before the pandemic. Literally, we started in December of 2019. The pandemic hit. We decided with them to continue through the pandemic, and so we had to get really creative in bringing people out and making sure the community felt engaged. It was all virtual. That was really hard. So I didn't want to take on any new comprehensive planning projects until the pandemic was well in hand. I don't want to say it's over, because I don't think it's over, but I do think we're all here. Like I said hi to a lot of folks who I haven't seen in person in a while. So I felt comfortable as a professional agreeing to provide this proposal at this time.
Yeah. The only reason that the 7 years was up and that 5 to 7 is one of the reasons we budgeted for it back in March. And we put it on our top 10 goals for the year. But the other thing that's changed is so many people are working remotely now. And so that is a big difference then. And then all the electronics with the Zoom and all the other things happening in people's lives. Everybody's life in this room and everybody in this village's life has changed. So is that a chance to take and look at that and say, what are our priorities? What is that funnel? And that's why I thought this was a good time to do this.
It's actually a really good point, because we are all, both on the business level, on the personal level, we're all, I can't say we all, many individuals are looking at different work situations. And I'll use myself as an example. I used to leave the village Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was gone. And now I'm home more than half the week. And so how does that affect the village and land uses and traffic and, opportunities? If we're here and we're around, several of us may be experiencing that same shift. Also, people can work remotely, so I'll mention this from a business perspective. Like when we're seeking for new employee candidates, we've cast our net very wide because they can work remotely from wherever. So I think the village should take that into consideration in terms of retaining some younger, energetic folks to stick around, and if they can't find a job in our central New York area, maybe they can somewhere else, but they can enjoy what the village has to offer here. So just giving some thought to the plan and seeing if it needs to be refreshed from that perspective.
And if you look at the use of our parks, our sidewalks, everything, people are using them more and more now than ever before. Going to Green Lakes, going to Erie Canal, going to the new dog park or the trails up at Dugan. The things that are happening now, we always wanted to happen, but they've been accelerated. So I think it's a perfect time to update the plan to reflect those changes. Anything else, Pam?
Well, I wanted to say that I didn't get to look too much at it. I didn't, it was a little bit soon for me. I didn't get to see much about the contract or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I understand enough about this. It just seems a little soon for me.
Okay.
I mean, it's a bit early for me. I'm intrigued to hear the presentation, but I feel like I need to hear more, so.
Dan?
Yeah, there's, the one that we have, there's a lot of things that I definitely feel that just haven't taken place. I mean, we talk about where buildings should take place over Iron and Gear and down below, and obviously none of that's gone, because every time we try to take a step in that direction, there's residents in the community, obviously, that don't feel that what has been proposed is the right thing, and rightfully or not rightfully so. I mean, that's what bothers me. And I mean, if we're gonna do the same thing, I mean, I don't know why we're doing it. I mean, if we're gonna look at those same places that still have not had the things done. As Mark says, there is a lot of things that have been done. For example, the parks situation, I would like to see more cooperation if we could figure out a way to have it says there's supposed to be an interaction between the villages and the town and so forth, doing these things, and it just seems like the village is doing most of these things. I went through and I sort of did the, are we still doing, still okay? I got still okay, I got yes, I got problems for certain places. I really
I can't remember how we got responses.
Oh, the last time, in 2014? It's a great question, and I'm not gonna recall, like factually, I'm just gonna guess on this. We do surveys all the time, and I think we ran a
We did.
we used Survey Monkey back
We did.
then, Dan, and I think we got responses through survey. I know for a fact, we also had a couple of meetings. But I don't know if that's what how did we engage the community? That's how we would have done it. And I know we had a few meetings. What I can't recall exactly is whether we did the survey or not. I don't know.
I'm pretty
I
sure we
think we
did.
did.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
sure we did.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like almost everything else as far as bringing things up. We bring things up, and if there's a lot of negativism or people don't like, then we get a big response. People are going to respond to a comprehensive plan.
I see what you're saying.
I
You
don't.
get modest response because it's not.
I don't know. And that was the number one question I had written down. I haven't got to the number one question, but I'll do the number one first,
Yeah.
even though there's some other ones. Do you have a unique way of getting residents to be involved?
Oh.
Is there a unique way?
I'm gonna be straight up and tell you, there's no one way that is a guaranteed unique way to get people involved. I'm just gonna put that out on the table. I will also share this though. What we learned last year during the height of COVID, when none of us could get together like in person, we learned that having, we call it a digital presence, a digital portal, a digital engagement platform was very, very effective. It surprised us. We had more involvement and responses. And so what we are doing now as a firm, as a professional firm, is we're combining the two. I don't think, and I would never recommend a digital platform, digital presence. What I mean by that is not email. If you have a website, making sure that the entire process and all the communication flows through the website. If you have a Facebook page, if you have an Instagram account, Nextdoor, I know many of us are on that right now. We use those existing social media platforms to continue engaging folks, having surveys established and then putting links into these various different social media platforms. We would continue doing that, but that is, in my humble opinion, not a replacement for in-person meetings. We didn't have a choice. We could not do in-person meetings last year, so we didn't have them. But for something this time period moving forward, I would recommend a hybrid. I would have an in-person meeting, but I would also factor in an opportunity for folks to engage otherwise, because they're not here that one day, that one evening, that one time. So you open it up for a couple of weeks. You let them respond and react to the same things, just virtually. And is it a guaranteed, I cannot guarantee that folks will engage that way. But I know the village a little bit. I've had to deal with some contentious issues. And I think that these particular remaining sites that you've mentioned, Dan, that have, one is currently still, I believe, underway, but the other one has been very quiet. I would bring those out and dust them off. We've had changes in our traffic patterns, whether it's a perceptual change or an actual change. We've had a study done by SMTC with hard facts. We can fold that in. And let's bring to the table what concerns people have mentioned over the years and address those concerns or mention those concerns in the comprehensive plan itself. I don't think the plan actually does that for a couple of the sites. There's been a lot of conversation in the community over the past 8 years about diversity in housing options for folks. And I think that that is an issue that the comprehensive plan really should be discussing is, what is the stock here, housing stock? What is the variety that's available? And if there's an opportunity for diversity, where could it be and how could it happen? So those are some of the issues that I think have changed over the last 8 years that warrant And I'm not talking a massive wholesale, new plan. This is just an update. Let's look at these issues again. Let's understand what's occurred in this community as well as in the county.
Are there, when we have something that we're working on, Mark and Ted have been pretty good about that, bringing up steps that here's our first step, here's our second, here, we're on step number 17 or something like that, which is exaggeration, but sometimes we do have a lot too many steps. Is that something you do? You have a step where you get the organization, you get the group together, and then do they decide the steps, or do you
Well,
lead them in deciding the steps?
It's a really great question, and we like to put together what we call a community engagement plan before we start any process, because it informs all decision makers what the steps are and what the projected schedule is for the plan, for the process and the end game. Where are we going and how are we gonna get there? So we call it a community engagement plan because we always engage the community, and the process of engaging the community has to be folded into your steps in getting the plan done. They need to be well orchestrated. So we put this community engagement plan together that includes both. What kind of engagement are we going to have? When are we planning to have it? When are we going to have that first public meeting? What are we expecting to talk about at that first public meeting? So for us to make those decisions, we have to understand our steps before we even get to that public meeting. When I say we, the professionals, we put it together first, and then we give it to the advisory committee to respond to and decide, is this what they want? Is this how they want to do it? And then we revise it. If we're moving too fast, if we're moving too slow, if we need to shift a date here or there because there's a particular local event that we want to hit and we want to be part of, or there's, or we don't want to hit. Oftentimes, for example, graduation month, I call it a month. We want to kind of avoid that because everybody's rightly so distracted with graduation and they're not going to come to engagement events. So we put this plan together, Dan, and that is the first deliverable. That's the first product that we give to the advisory committee to review, and the public can review. This is not without, people's involvement, but you do have to close that plan up. I mean, it gets reviewed, it gets revised to a process and a set of steps that everybody's comfortable with, and then now we're all going to be following that. So I don't know if that answers your questions, and it is very much keyed to our proposal, which has tasks listed, right? So.
I'm just gonna throw something out here.
Yeah.
Here's something, do we even have to look at it, because obviously we're doing it. Encourage commercial property owners to maintain and improve their building facades and signage and landscaping. We just got a grant from Onondaga County where we're doing this, so something like that is all right. But then if you go down through the whole list, there's some that aren't good.
Right.
So those are the ones that's what you would do? You wouldn't
Yes.
touch?
Well, I'm assuming you're reviewing the recommendations. I don't know what you're looking at right now.
I'm looking at the community plan.
The plan itself, right. So we would be looking at all those recommendations that's currently in the plan. We're not gonna jump in and just look at those recommendations. We're going to understand how this is gonna unfold, get the advisory committee together, and then as a committee, we can look at this plan and see that, this is what I like to do. I like to have the advisory committee look at the plan and you tell me what's good and bad about the plan, not me tell you, right? So Dan, let's say you're on the advisory committee, you can check off however many of those existing recommendations right now that you don't think apply anymore. Either they were never done, therefore they're not going to be done, or we did them, that's done, let's move on. Or this is too hard, we don't even know how to do this is too vague, can we put more meat on this one so we know what to do? And then with that kind of comments from you guys, then we can start moving into updating the inventory analysis, understand what the community wants to do, and get to better recommendations. So some of those will definitely be deleted, removed from the plan, and new ones will be, I would hope new ones would be added.
If you come up with a plan, okay, the planning board, the zoning board, maybe even us, the historic board, do they have to follow that exactly the way it says in the plan?
It's another really good question.
Well, I don't know whether it's good or not, but I.
It's important.
Community's comprehensive plan is supposed to be the guiding policy document for the community and the guiding principle document for the community. And Ted, you can tell me if I'm overstepping legal boundaries here or not. What needs to be aligned with the plan, like mandated, it's a requirement that is lined up with the plan, are your zoning, any land use, local land use laws, which include your zoning. Your decision-making as an independent board needs to be guided by the plan, but there's nothing in that plan that keeps it rock hard and solid. Unless you say in your plan, this property must be used this way. And then if the plan does actually say that, you have to make sure your zoning sets it that way, okay? Now, if your plan says it would be great, if your plan is more vague and more suggestive, right? These are recommendations, they're not mandates. If your plan has that kind of approach, then as a board member, you should be digesting that and understanding that. And then, of course, you bring in your own independent judgment based on the facts of the particular application that's before you, right? A plan cannot address every single, you cannot even think of every single possible application, because things change all the time. For example, we're gonna have electrical vehicles. They're here, they're already here, right? It's a matter of time before we are all reading our books while we're traveling somewhere as the driver of the car. How do comprehensive plans address that right now? I'm not quite sure, so we're gonna have to kind of figure that out. We stay a little bit loose, but you get a little bit, electrical vehicle charging stations might be a really good idea to not mandate, but to encourage. If you've got new development and a new site that comes in, you might want to encourage that they include, those kinds of parking spaces or charging stations. I don't even know I'm not even up to speed on all the lingo. Same thing with bicycle facilities. They're becoming more and more common as a mode of transportation, not just a recreational thing to do. So those are the things that plans should be. I don't know, Dan, if I'm answering your questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm posing
No, I
all
like it.
these
This is
problems
good.
or all these
Other
situations.
good questions.
These are great questions.
Yep. You good?
Yeah.
Good. Dennis, do you have any questions?
I'm good, Mark.
Thank you.
Good questions.
Michael?
Well, most of the questions have been answered that I would have amongst, the previous questions that you've answered. Some things I would have concerns about is like mandating certain things, because we don't look at this only every 5 to 7 years as opposed to not, but that's something that would be, obviously could be discussed further, and or certain things within the plan that we would feel confident when it need to be changed within that time, because I'm guessing that if we wanted to make a change, we'd have to redo something sooner if situations change. So maybe keeping it a little bit, not vague, but a little bit more directive, but not maybe mandating it would be a better way to go for the community and things like that in general. I do like your approach as far as the ability for people to come in and speak like we're talking tonight, and or doing it through the different social medias and or computer. The survey that we did the last time and things like that was helpful, I believe, and gives everybody a chance to have a voice. I noted with some of the previous projects and proposals that have been alluded to here already this evening, we certainly know how some of the residents feel. We don't necessarily know how all of the residents feel, or if they have a strong opinion one way or the other. And this might be a way to help guide what happens on those sites and offer some new ideas that haven't been thrown out there or tossed around at this point in time. So I do like the community involvement towards recommendations that we would implement in a new policy that way. So I think that, overall, I feel that's good. And I do feel, and I've had a discussion with someone and a few others in regards to how this all comes about. I feel that hiring a company like EDR to do this for us gives people perhaps a better venue for expressing their opinions and their ideas, as opposed to working directly with our particular board or just an advisory committee in general, because everybody may not feel as comfortable just being really honest with us. I would hope they would be, but it's sometimes hard for people to be in a room and hear other comments and then have a different opinion but not want to say it out loud for whatever reasons. And that's all good and bad for whatever, but I think that your approach and having a third party, if you want to say, involved in this process and obtaining information from the community at large is probably a little bit more beneficial to the village as a whole as opposed to not. So thank you for answering all the questions and the work you did.
I just have two.
If
Go
I
ahead.
may add just one more
Yeah.
comment in response to trustee Ashby's questions with respect to timing. I know that the town of Vanlees is undergoing their very first comprehensive plan right now. They're underway, they're in process right now, so I think it's very, very good timing for the village to be updating their plan. There could be some modest coordination. I'm saying modest because I don't want to even suggest that the village needs to in any way abdicate its responsibilities to the town. It doesn't. It has its own responsibilities with its own community. As a professional, I'm a very strong advocate of communities coordinating with each other, because as we all live in our communities, we don't know when we're all crossing over from the village to the town or anything like that. We just use our roadways and our parks and so forth. So I would recommend, at least if we were selected to do this for the village, we would make sure that there's some level of coordination, at least communication with the town and what they're thinking with respect to that area within the town that's bordering the village, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So I think this is really good timing.
That's exactly what Sarah was on the call. That's exactly what their firm said. It's a separate, but it has, to be part of like an appendix or a subsection of the town's comprehensive plan, all three villages. But it has to be alone and it has to be its own
Yeah.
standing document.
Right.
So, Zoom, Boxcast, and Facebook have been our three best, just so you know, our best avenues to
Yes.
reach out. Like the
Yeah.
dog park, we had 59 votes on one. I mean, and then there was a Facebook meeting where I think we had, or Zoom where we had 74 people on. So
Yeah.
it does give,
Very
Boxcast we've had 56 people on. So I think it
The
just,
only one I've not worked with is
Yeah.
Boxcast. We work with
you're on
Zoom.
it right now.
Oh,
So.
I
I see Jane Nicholson, who's the lady that we met with on the Zoom call.
Yes.
Sam, I'm very familiar with.
Yes.
Josh Falco, just not,
Oh, Joe Falco.
Joe Falco, sorry, Joseph. Yep.
For those of you who aren't familiar with the names that were just rattled off, he's rattling off the names of the folks who would be working on this plan for the village, the folks who work with me at EDR. Jane Nicholson is a resident of Casanova. She works for EDR. She's been a planner for 17 years. Very, just great person to work with, believes in community engagement as much as I do. You're in great hands with Jane Nicholson. We're proposing that she be the project manager. That means that she's gonna coordinate and run everything, and she's very good at that. Sam Gordon, who's also a planner, he's been in the business 20-plus years. He was the town of DeWitt Director of Planning until he joined our firm, which is a couple of years ago, and Sam's fantastic, and so you're in really good hands with Sam. Joe Falco is actually, and Sam's a resident of DeWitt. Joe Falco is a resident of Fayetteville. He is our lead designer and landscape architect in our firm. And so Joe would be fantastic as someone who can bring real understanding of site plan and layout and design ideas. So when we get into these focal plans and these focal areas, Joe will be involved in discussions and community engagement for those areas. So those are the prime folks who will be involved. We have a deep bench of folks who will be involved, and you'll hear their names. We'll help out and support the group. But those are the ones who will
Okay.
be running the meetings. And
Sam is the one that's helped us with all the Erie Canal, with all the things that we've done on the canal. Even when he was with the town of DeWitt, they were helping us with grant applications, and the SNTC, he was part of that.
Yep.
So Sam, when I saw that, I was very excited, because Sam is, besides his bow ties, Sam is very, very sharp and very, very good, and, you know, some of you haven't seen it, but he got $20 million in grants for infrastructure updates in the town of DeWitt. Fayetteville's got $7 million since 2004, so.
He's one of my students.
Everybody's one of your students, yeah. Everybody. So, thank you so much. I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the mayor to execute the agreement with the EDR with approval of council to move forward with this. And again, Jane, we can I finish, please? I got you all, thank you. We can extend the timeline too. We don't have to finish in December.
timeline is just an initial
Good.
proposed timeline. We're very open to whatever works for the community.
Okay. So, I put that in a motion. Need a second?
Second?
Okay. Go.
I have just a concern about the process with this. You guys seem like a really good firm. I got to see your proposal. It looks like a good proposal. I've been involved in comprehensive plans with human service agencies. I work with the state of New York now. And whenever we do these kinds of plans, we have an RFA process where we put together a committee saying, what do we want for this plan? We look at that, and then we put out a proposal and we put out bids for that. And then agencies like yourself come in and present, and then people make a decision about that and pick the best proposal. And to me, this process has been short-circuited. So I have a concern about that. I don't have a concern about
No, I don't take that
about your
personally.
proposal at all, but I have a concern about the process. That when we're spending this kind of money in the village, there needs to be an RFA process, and people need to have an opportunity to answer that and make a presentation, and then the trustees would decide who would do it.
So do you mind if I just give my, not personal, but just because I totally understand what you're talking about. In my lingo, it's an RFP process. Request for proposal is what an RFP stands for. And you are correct, there are many, that is a very conventional way to go, that municipalities, agencies, whomever is looking for professional consulting services will, oftentimes they get a few folks together, committees or whatever they want to call them, and they design or they create a request for a proposal. And they send that request for proposal out in many different ways. Oftentimes there's clearinghouses, and us consultants are aware of those clearinghouses, and we look for these RFPs. And so then people send in their proposals, and this committee then reviews all the proposals, and they create what is called a short list. And a short list is, anywhere from 2 to 4 consultants are invited to come in and make a presentation to this review committee. And then the review committee then makes a selection. In my line of work where that is not followed to a T, because that's very lengthy, and oftentimes that can take up to 6 months or more to complete. But in my line of work, when we get called in, I'll just say that professionally, is when we are not up against a full, statewide RFP, is when we have an established working relationship with the community itself. It is not uncommon for us to get a call from a community that says, we're gonna keep this, it is an approach we already have the document, we want an update, we want a refresh. And so we've invited you and a few others just to submit your proposals. So it's not it is still it's like a smaller version of that process, right? And I believe that's what happened here. You can call it short-circuiting, I'm not gonna challenge that characterization of it, but it's also a way for communities to understand they have they have relationships with a few consulting teams, and they know they don't wanna, that they're okay with those, right? So I believe that that's what happened here, and I don't mean to put any words in the process, I don't mean to describe it for anybody, but it is not uncommon for us to get work that way. And also, we frequently have to submit with the greater good, and it is a more competitive process with that question. It's also a longer process, and I find in our line of work that occurs when, for example, in the town of Manlius, that's exactly what happened. They're starting from scratch. They've never had a comprehensive plan. So they really are starting at the beginning. And so I think that is a more warranted. And I think they had working relationships with some folks, but they also had a brand new board, right, new leadership, so they wanted to cast the net wide. So that just explains to everybody in the audience here the two different.
Hold on one second. Lori, because I want to answer your procurement. From our procurement policy for professional services, we don't need to go out. We've gotten 2 prices. We were within our guidelines to hire a professional firm without even asking for bids,
I think
correct?
that's been with the practice that
Yeah.
has been with a professional firm.
Right.
Um,
And I will tell you, they've done our other 2. We've been very satisfied with them. That's the reason. The other company, B&L, was triple the cost and said, you're making the right decision. And if you'd like to talk to him, I can give you his name. But we've been very happy. Also, I will tell you that Joanne Gagliano, the principal, Jane, they live here in our village. They've served our village. They are people, and Sam, to me, is exceptional. They put together a good proposal. They put together a thorough proposal to refresh our comprehensive plan. And everything that they've done has helped us progress the village the way it is today. And we're a very fortunate village because we have had good comprehensive plans and we've had good luck with getting grants and doing things and improvements in the village. So to me, it makes prudent sense because they live here, they have stake, and they've done a good job, and they will put together a great proposal. And there's been questions about the money. We budgeted $10,000, the proposal's $19,000. The other $9,000 will come out of the ARP funds, but it may be able to be budgeted for because if you don't finish, we can put it in next year's budget. So we have the money to do that. And I think 19 is a very prudent amount to spend on this update. Yes. I'm going to keep it to 3 minutes because it sounds like other people want to speak. So, but you can go longer because I didn't tell you. You can go longer because I didn't tell you.
Yeah, I have document. Do I have to direct my question to you?
If it's directed to Jane, go ahead. If
Okay.
not, yeah.
There's a lot I would say, but it's characterized as an update. So when I look at the 2008 version and I look at the 2014 version, it seemed clear to me that 2014 was an update in terms of what did we do in terms of 2018. But when I look,
2008, right.
I'm sorry,
right.
2008,
So how are we
2014.
going to update an update? Is that where you're headed?
Well,
It's a great
well,
question.
actually,
Oh,
I
I
wasn't. I'm
just
sorry, Dave.
added a question to your list.
Well, please add that, 'cause I think everyone is apt about, how interesting this conversation really is and how very important. So we had an update, and it looked like an update. Oh, what do we do? What do we not do? We didn't do a lot of things, and there were things we decided not to do. When I see your proposal here, it doesn't seem like an update. It seems like a major review, which I am not opposed to, because if you look in your update of 2014, it says a major review should be conducted every 10 years, which would mean we would have done it in 2018. So here we are in 2021. Yes, we're going forward, and that's great. But I'm concerned a little bit about process as well, in terms of the fact that if you're a villager, even if you're following this really closely, you didn't know about this contract or any process to solicit any from anyone. It was posted on Friday at approximately 3 p.m. in the afternoon or such, which didn't give villagers an opportunity, unless they choose to go to the village website over the weekend, look at the agenda for the Board of Trustees, and go to the link on that particular agenda item. So we get left out of that. And I hear, and you write about a community-centered approach, but this doesn't feel so community-centered in the sense that we didn't get an opportunity to communicate to our Board of Trustees. It's not even very clear to me how much time they had an opportunity to look at that and look at 2014 and think about that. And then when I look at your, then this is my actual question part. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, go with the question.
You know, it's like, why the rush all of a sudden?
Well, hold on a second. I'm going to answer that. Hold on, I'm going to answer the question.
Okay.
We talked about it at the budget hearings. We put it in the budget. We had a public hearing on the budget. We approved the budget. It was on my top 10 list that was put out in January. So to say that we're rushing this process, we talked about it in January. We talked about it in March. I talked to the Board of Trustees and said, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we'd like to do. I had the meeting a month and a half ago, waiting for the proposal. Got the other proposal from B&L. And we're here today to update a plan and to do this. I think, I understand you're not happy with the process, but to say that we haven't been letting you know what's going on in the process, and we have a good proposal in front of us. You may not agree with the process, but I think that we have been transparent with what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. Could we take another 2 weeks and wait for the next meeting so everybody has time to digest? Absolutely, but I still think we have a very good proposal in front of us and a very good plan and process, and this is important. This is an important document. This is
Have
yeah.
I given you the impression that I don't think this is
No,
important?
you didn't. I just want to make sure that people understand that are listening, because not everybody's here tonight that are listening. The process has been we have said it in January, you said it in March during budget time, and we're saying it now. So I don't want people to think we just said, oh, we're going to do this. This is we have been taught to every 4 years or every 5 years or 6 years. Look at this, and we just happen to be in the budget cycle where we could put it in, and so go ahead and answer the rest of your question.
Okay. And
You're good. I just want to make sure everybody
I
understands.
have followed the 10-point plan, I've
Yep.
commented on the 10-point
Yep.
plan, I've commented on the budget, I've followed the
Yep.
budget very carefully. I know that we allocated $10,000 in our
Yep.
budget, and now this is $20,000.
Yep.
So if I could just get to the timeline about the rush, why the rush? That's really kind of the focus of the question. When I look at the 6-month schedule that you have laid out, the community engagement part is focused on July, August, and September. So as we're coming out of a global pandemic, July and August are looking like the breath of fresh air that we have waited for 18 months. So as a citizen, and as my fellow citizens, how many of us are going to be able to be engaged with you in July and August and September? And then you're going to be producing the drafts in November and December. So I feel like the process that you have laid out seems rushed.
Okay, so that's what you mean by rushed. So, I'm not going to say that what I am going to say is, I mentioned earlier in response to one of Dan's questions, how many, what are the steps and what are we gonna take? When we put a proposal together, we make some assumptions that they have to be made. And because we have not had the advantage of working with the advisory committee or having any real interface with the community. So when we did look at this, that's what we did. We made some assumptions. This is an update, it's not a whole new plan. There is a certain amount of positive energy that one can get from a community. Everybody's talking about engagement. You really want to get people engaged, keep them engaged, and then let them go, because people don't, we all have very busy lives, and so a 6-month type of time frame really works well with an update. 6 months, maybe 8 months, in there. Can we push this out so that we're not meeting in August? Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. But I had to make some assumptions when we put this proposal together. If we're retained, the first thing we would do is take a hard look at our timing when we're actually starting this, and what does it look like for the rest of the year. And at the time that we put this together, I don't think all of the COVID type, social distancing and other constraints were lifted yet. So we weren't even sure we could do in-person meetings, right? That was a little bit of a question mark. Where I'm trying to get to is, if we are retained by the village, we would take a hard look at all of those issues and the schedule, and maybe push it out, maybe propose, look at it differently. So it doesn't have to be rushed. I respect that your receipt of what we've put together right now feels very rushed as we're talking here tonight. And I think what I'm hearing from the board members is they would like to take a look at that as well. There's nothing magic. I don't think there's any fiscal responsibility magic date on December 31, 2021, so we can look at. Oftentimes, January is a great month to finalize some things, January and February, because only silly folks like me like to play in the snow, so everyone else stays in. So yes, that is my answer to, it doesn't have to be rushed, and I respect how you can receive it as feeling like it could, that may be what we were thinking, that's not what we were thinking.
And I just want to say, I have the utmost respect for EDR and its employees and how well the planning board is managed, so it has nothing to do with that.
No, I don't take this
I think
personally,
we're the,
no.
you know, I think you're an excellent, it's an excellent proposal, the right people to do it, it's not about that.
Thank you. I thank you very much. You had, and I'm forgetting them now, you had a couple other questions in there. I thought that were pretty good questions, and I can't remember what they are now. No,
I
know.
can't remember them, so.
Whatever, it's fine. So my reaction is, again, we would set the schedule and set the pace that feels really good for the community.
Right.
You don't want to stretch it out, though. I would strongly not recommend a year, because you're going to get into it, and then we're all going to get busy with holidays, and other things will come in, and then we're going to say, what
Right.
did we do before? And it gets too stretched out, so.
I agree with that. Okay, yes.
Just a follow-up from that, so what is the difference between like an update to a proposal and then like the 10-year, like this was a whole new one? Is there a different set of guidelines? It's the same 6 months? Is it a lot more money than $10,000?
The first one we did, because we hadn't had one in the 10 years prior, was more money and
Yes.
was a longer drawn out. We had
Yes.
public workshops, we had, it was I think 12 to 14 months. It was
Let me
much
give you
longer.
One tiny example why it's more money. When you start fresh, oftentimes the community you're coming into does not have their zoning map based on a GIS base layer. And in this case, it was all only hard copy. We actually had to create that. But they don't. We brought them all into the 21st century that very first time. So it is very inexpensive now to go in there. If there's going to be any changes there, it's very inexpensive. Similarly, so when you start with a brand new plan, you're starting from scratch, literally, and there are needs for the technology, there are needs for the community to get up to date with the technology. The community as a whole hasn't come together and had any conversations about comprehensive planning. That takes multiple times to do, to get people's heads into it, to understand what it means, what's this all about, how broad is this gonna be? So those conversations have to happen. These conversations have been not only had in this community, but they were, that's what the question was, how do you update an update? That's what, I created that question.
Yeah.
I have to answer it. So they've had this conversation several times. The board is, many members of the board have been through it, right? So they understand the process a little bit better, so you can do it for less money, and you can do it, you can be more streamlined in how you update everything. How do you update an update? You actually need to not just look at the 2014 plan that has been adopted by the board, but we would go back to the original plan. And because of our knowledge of the plan, we can see where we can make improvements to the plan in terms of its organization and use to the community as a whole. That's the other thing that we think is really important. We're really strong advocates of comprehensive planning, but planning in a way that can be used by the boards who have to make the decisions, and by the community who comes to the boards to listen to those decisions and to be participants, right, in the whole process. So how do we make these plans more accessible and usable by everybody, not just physically, which you can do by making sure it's on the website, but in other ways too. And I'm not going to take a deep dive into that discussion, but that's how you update an update, is you do go back. We would be remiss to not also read the 2008 plan and understand the changes that took place between that and the 2014 plan, is so we can advance everybody forward into the future.
Real quick, and this is kind of piggyback on what you were saying, Dan, when you were wondering how you determine what you get at in the comprehensive plan that needs to be updated. So I know the vision statement may direct generally what the village would like to do and what the people in the village would like to see happen, but how do you know what issues are when we're looking at a future that's very, open right now and nebulous. I mean, you mentioned electric cars, and, how do you know really what is best gonna handle our issues that haven't approached us yet? And is there a way that a comprehensive plan can self-evaluate itself so that when you look into the future, hey, this was effective. We implemented this because we thought this was an issue, and there's a way to assess that.
Hold on one second. I'm completely out of touch, but I forgot name and your address for the record. So I will start with you.
I have it.
You got it?
I don't
Can
have
you
your
say it for
reserve.
Sorry.
That's all right, sure.
Thank you.
I signed in,
No problem.
my name's
I'm sorry.
Josh Hawley.
And your address for the record.
113 Kessler.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm out of there. We've been doing Zoom and Boxcast, so Casey, I got you.
Infamous
So
Josh Hawley.
Exists.
you're good?
I have bands, I have
It's
these
Good, thank you.
wonderful-
Thank
He's
you.
not the senator.
Casey, I got Casey.
We got that straight. No confusion at all.
It's good.
John.
Exists.
I'm gonna let Jane answer your question, but excuse me, Marguerite, I'm talking, please.
I understand.
Thank you.
However,
Josh.
I don't know who this gentleman was, and I thought you were just about to,
I did it for
catch
the record. She'll tell you.
It's,
I'm Van.
Thank you.
Hampstead.
Thank you.
There are 4 of us in the universe, in case anyone's confused.
I had that. Thank you.
Now
So
we
Josh,
know.
I will tell you, before Jane answers the rest of it, the one thing that we do, that I do every year when I look at it, when we're talking about planning grants and top 10 list and sidewalks and roadways and infrastructure improvements and parks, and like, I'll give you a perfect example, the dog park is part of our Parks Master Plan, which is part of our comprehensive plan. So it's always evolving, always thinking, always trying, one of the things in their plan is to make a connection. Do you know what? Everybody has a sidewalk in the Village of Fayetteville now because of the last grant. Everybody has access to a sidewalk because of the comprehensive plan, because it says in there, try to make, they don't say do, try to make connections, try to do this, try to add handicap accessibility, try to add, so we did we look at those things, and when we're putting grants together or we're doing our own planning, we use the so it's something that we're always, like I said in our interview, check, take those out, or put them somewhere where we can say accomplished. So people can see where you can look at the comprehensive plan and say, oh wow, they did do that, they did do that, they did do that, they did do that. Oh,
Actually,
I didn't know they did that,
That's what we're gonna now, that's another deliverable we're gonna give you, because it's a great idea.
Yep.
When we review, one of you asked,
Josh.
I think you also asked, to update a plan, you have to review it. You can't just update it, and that's why the proposal reads like we're just going to review it. Because we are going to help reviewing it, and then all of you are gonna help updating it. It's your ideas, it's your thoughts, it's the community's aspirations for the future is the update. We have the hard job of making sure all the inventory that's in there, we'll go back to those publicly available data points and make sure it's all updated. We'll confirm the mapping and all that kind of technical stuff. The self-evaluation for the plan is, you stated it very nicely, but that is the responsibility of the Board of Trustees. Or they could give it to the planning board, or they could give it to the ZBA, but it's the responsibility of the village, a board in the village, or they could have an advisory committee they want to pull together once a year. And the responsibility should be, at the end of every year, and I'm guessing that you guys have done this, maybe when you're putting your budget together, maybe before that, but at some point in the course of the year, you literally go to your recommendations and action steps and you review them. What have we done? What have we achieved? And where are we going for next year? So a plan to make it really accessible for everybody is you don't just have recommendations. We did, I remember this because I was very excited about the recommendation that the village be 100% connected for pedestrian movement, right? And remember, this was 8 years ago. That was not the case 8 years ago. And so then when you make that recommendation, if you don't indicate where some funding sources might be for that kind of capital improvement project and the action steps, who has a responsibility to get that done, oftentimes those recommendations never go anywhere because you don't know what to do with them. How do you implement this, right? So we always put that together, and then we try to categorize, we don't try, we do this and we work with the community to ensure that every recommendation has a time frame. So we usually use a near term, a midterm, and a long-term time frame. And then we work with the community, what's near term? Is it 0 to 1 year? Is it 0 to 2 years? And then you go, 2 to 5 and 5 and beyond. Some recommendations take 10 years to get done. If I can remember 10 years ago, there was no park, there was no connectivity, there was no access down at the bottom of the hill. And look what's there today, it's remarkable. But that took 10 to 15 years to really accomplish every single piece of it, and it's really great. So that's a long-term kind of aspiration, and, hats off to the whole community who got that done.
Helps us for budgeting too, those short terms, the midterms, so those mid and long, we can start putting money away or going for grants and things like that.
So just like as this planning process is going, where can like a citizen go to see your like checklist of we've done this thing in the plan?
That's one of the things we asked for in this, because as we were, so what happens too is we have another engineer that sits there and goes through our thing and says, okay, hey, there's a grant application for, just recently it was an intermodal grant for more transportation, like bridges and pedestrian bridges and things like that. So they go and they see it in the plan, and then it goes into our grant application, and it's part of that process. So that will be part of this process, because we do want to see people where they can sit there and see, okay,
Right. But in, like, since 2014, there's not like an update of like what we've been doing about the plans?
No, we haven't like gone through the document, crossed out what's accomplished, we haven't done that.
When we do our initial, if we're retained, when we do our initial review in our community engagement plan, we can make that a side product and make sure you can see it. I
Yep.
think it's an excellent thing for everyone to see.
We could even go back to 08,
We could, that would be interesting.
so, yes, Marguerite.
I'm Marguerite Ross. I'm 108 Camet Lane. I am a professional planner by a vocation and long, vast experience, including for the city of Baltimore and for Onondaga County, Sockpaw. And I respect professional planning credentials of Jane Rice very much. But many other people are, and I really don't know among other citizens what kind of expertise people have. I know there's a wealth of expertise and knowledge among the citizens, and we can play a very positive, constructive, and useful role by being engaged from the beginning in terms of setting out how this process should work. The question asked, what's the difference between an update and in my professional judgment, the 2008 plan that you prepared was adequate. There are certainly things that I would recommend improving on that. I do not believe that the 2014 was at all adequate at all, and I think it's a big waste of money to do the same thing that was done in 2014 again now. I would object to that. I think the way that and I believe that Ms. Rice would concur, that we need a steering kind of committee, and we need to figure out what approach is best before entering into a contract with BDR or any consultant. First, we need a steering committee. We need to set out, make some basic decisions for working for and with and in the village government. It is the responsibility of the village government to decide, but we're the citizens, so our village government works for us, citizens, certainly not businesses, absentee landlords. The people rule in a democracy, but that doesn't mean that we're the ultimate deciders on everything, but we do deserve to be listened to. And I noticed in the proposal that I looked at carefully the timeline. It said that there's a scoping process that's supposed to be done in the month of June. Well, we're June 28, and my recommendation and suggestion, and I would urge the Board of Trustees to don't act on this proposal, table it for tonight, and that the scoping ought to be done by a steering committee, including village officials, and wearing their other hat, which is a little bit of a problem, I would think, our planning board chairman, our esteemed chairman, ought to be involved in that, in my opinion, because she does represent, she is a village official, and she has a very important service that she can provide when it comes to comprehensive planning. I think that it's very problematic. I understand that EDR is very familiar with this community, has been engaged for a long time, but I think it would be better for all concerned not to put you on the spot of being both the consultant and the planning board chairman at the same time. Because I think we need our planning board chairman to help oversee, and our planning board to help oversee the work of the consultant. And, and so I think it would be better, I've already said, that's what I think would be better. I think it should start with scoping, and I don't think the scoping should be a consultant's job, farmed out to a consultant. Certainly not in the month of June, because it's impossible to do it in the month of June. But, and I certainly concur with the idea that we need to set a more realistic schedule for what can happen when, and that's part of the steering committee can handle. Set that up. What is the deliverable that will be most useful? That's your bottom line. Where are you trying to get to? What's the product? But it just requires more consideration and thought than we've had the opportunity to give, because we had no idea. I have not seen the top 10, but I remember from past years that the other trustees were not involved in the top 10. That was strictly Mayor Olson's agenda. And I don't know whether the trustees agree with that or not, but I think it's important for the trustees to take the lead, all trustees to be involved in decision-making. So that's our few things that I would like to say. Thank you very much for
Any comments?
your attention.
Anybody else? Okay. So I will rescind, and we'll give time, 2 weeks, or our next meeting, to let people look at the review. There will not be a steering committee, because I think we have enough time to look at the document and look. So if anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I got other questions.
Go ahead.
Because I just, let's see, I just found out what my job was from the last
Yeah.
speaker.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I found out my job. I didn't know that
No.
the people sitting in the audience, I always thought I knew what my job was, but I'm happy that other people know
Yeah.
the better than that. But first of all, when we're talking about this thing right here, this, the most important thing in this village, Jane being the planning board chairman, and goes, is zoning. So, I mean, this thing is a supplement, but the zoning is,
Code is code.
if we had this many people here for zoning issues, I'd really be happy. We got this many people for a supplement to the way, I think it's sort of the way we want our village to be. Zoning is, I'm stuck. I really am stuck on that. Zoning is the important thing. So.
Just so everybody understands too, we didn't have to take any public comment tonight, but that's not our board. That's not the way this village is run. We want to hear what the public has to say. To Marguerite, to your comment, the top 10, no, the Board of Trustees doesn't have input, but the Board of Trustees can say, well, we're not doing that, or yes, we're doing that, because I have no power to get anything done without their approval. I am one vote, I'm one vote out of
Bingo.
5. I cannot do this without their approval. I cannot do the top 10 things we've done. But tell me one thing in this village that I hear from many, many people, and again, I'll go back to Ray Van Giesen. I'm only hearing from those people that don't like what we're doing. I think the village, and Casey and I don't disagree on everything, or agree on everything, but I think we agree on that the village is moving in a good direction, and we're trying to do the right thing. We're always trying to do the right thing. This is a big step to try to do the right thing. You might not like the process, you might not like what we did, but I think we're trying to make sure that we do what's right for the village residents. And we do have a responsibility to make sure we do what's right. So we will table it. I will rescind mine. Who seconded it? You?
I did,
Okay.
I'll
This will
agree.
be on the July agenda. But again, we are trying, and again, I thank you for your coming tonight. I know you have another meeting, but if you could update the schedule so that I think October, November, we gotta be careful, because then I hear this Christmas parties and holidays and Hanukkah, and I get into the whole thing again. So there's never gonna be a good time to get
Yeah, there's
everybody in.
3 months that
So,
are great.
yeah.
January, February, March. If you can do all
And
of
if
your
you're-
business
yeah.
in January, February, March, right?
And if you
Yes.
want to, and if you are interested in being on the steering committee, and you are interested in being part of this process, please let us know. Okay, there's some new faces here I have never seen, okay? Tonight is the first time I've seen you. I've lived here my whole life. I've been in this seat for 17 years. I haven't seen some of you in this meeting ever. So please, if you're interested, let us know, let Lori know, and just not me, you can let Lori know, she'll take care of
Oh,
it.
no,
So-
I just wanted to say
Yeah.
something in response to what he said
Oh.
about your job. The reason I'm here tonight is because I think, I agree with what Jane said, that this comprehensive plan guides the important decisions like the zoning decisions. And I'm very concerned about the zoning decisions. So that's why I'm here
So
tonight.
you think that this plan puts zoning, it's not zoning first, it's the plan first?
Yes.
Yes, I think it's
I
the
see
plan
it all.
first. You have a plan for the community, and then the zoning flows from the plan, not the other way around.
Okay.
In the proposal, the 2 examples that are listed are about zoning,
Right,
right in the proposal.
right. In the one,
I think
The
what
one
Dan's
we
trying
now
to say
have.
is there's a zoning code.
the one
and
we
then
have,
there's
we
this.
now have.
But this proposal will be guiding zoning decisions is written right in the document.
Right, as a guide.
As a guy, it
is-
goes back to,
It is.
Yeah.
The comprehensive planning process is to have everybody look at their community the way it is today, the way I say it is, you need to know what you were like 10 years ago. You need to know where you are today and all the achievements you've made or not made, and where you want to go in 10 years. And it's when you identify where you want to go in 10 years, you want more parks, you want more connectivity, you want whatever it is, it gets codified as a policy guide in your comprehensive plan, and then to implement that, Dan, to your point, you have to take a hard look at your zoning. Does your current zoning code support that? The recommendations of the comprehensive plan. If it doesn't support the recommendations, then you have the responsibility of tweaking or changing, wholesale changing, whatever the case may be.
okay, yeah.
That sounds backwards to you, Dan?
Yeah, I always thought that the zoning was,
The zoning,
I have a zoning book that I'm looking at all the time.
yes, well, the
I
zoning
have this
is your
plan,
mandate.
I very seldom look at that.
The zoning is your regulatory, your local regulations, it is you can, not, you shall or you shall not. Your comprehensive plan is, you can, we would like to, this would be great, it's aspirational as well as, practical guideline. But it most frequently does not contain language that says you shall or shall not do whatever for,
Josh, I don't want to lose my train of thought here, so I want to just say, I think everybody needs, and I've been saying this a lot lately, I think everybody needs to, I need to look at it the way you're looking at it, and you need to look at it the way we're looking at it, and this is, again, a very, very important tool that we use, and we want to make sure public input is very important. All the things that we talked about tonight are very important, and they're in this plan. And what we're trying to do is just make sure that we have the best document possible to get to the next generation, to get to the next level, and so whatever you think about process and other things, that's all we're trying to do. That's all I was trying to do when I had the phone conversation and the Zoom meeting and the same with B&O, so.
No qualms, Dan, to your point too, and what you were just hitting touching on, Jane, is that the code and the zoning law is what the law enforces. And a good comprehensive plan, when engaging the community, is the only place where people have to lend their voice to what's happening. The zoning code is just a written prescriptive process that doesn't involve people. So the comprehensive plan is just the only time and place where people have a way to come into that process. Both, one is followed to the law, and the other one is helpful to listen to occasionally.
Well, we have sectors in there that are, yeah. Well, I think what Dan made earlier was there's parts of it that have like there's what we could do in these sections, and I think part of that gets a little bit, because when we tried to do some of that, people didn't want it, and you're like, whoa, now what, now what, right? So it's, right,
Long before we had a comprehensive plan, we had zoning, so.
right, yeah.
Okay.
The original update was from
So
1980.
is it the chicken and the egg? or-
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please let us know, too. Anybody that wants to be on it, please let us know. Okay, into another one. Here we go. Okay, chicken permit, 511 Briarbrook Run. Okay, can I ask a question before we get started? Did you have chickens now?
Yes.
How long have you had them?
So,
I just asked a simple, how long have you had them?
since the day before I dropped off the permit, the day after, sorry. I dropped the permit off on Thursday. Friday the chickens arrived, they were already bought and paid for, set for delivery, and like 12 hours later.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So we got legal advice. I'm going to read my attorney's advice, okay, and you'll know why I'm reading it. So I asked it, he said, basically the short answer is there's a number of court decisions that say municipal code is one thing, separate and distinctive from restrictive covenants. The village is not bound from restrictive covenants. Restrictive covenants are agreements between property owners. Enforcement is a civil matter, not a municipal matter. So then I asked a simple question, can somebody sue us? You could be sued if you grant the permit. You could be sued if you deny the permit. If you deny it, the village would be notified by the neighbors opposing the granting of the permit for this property and based on the character of the neighborhood and existent restricted covenants relative to the request permit. If you were to grant the permit, note that anything in the order of the village code that restrictive covenants is more a contractual matter between residents and the Briarbrook subdivision. So if you do one thing, something can happen. If you do one thing, something can, I mean, it's one of these that most of the chicken permits that we've issued have not been anywhere near this complex when it comes to covenants. So I just bring that up to the Board of Trustees so that they know that Ted, did I miss anything? Ted?
Nope.
Everybody, this is Ted Spencer, our attorney, if you don't know, Ted is,
Yeah,
okay.
the municipal land use controls are what the village boards go by. The restrictive covenants are imposed when a subdivision is created. And
What day is it?
the developer wants to create a certain character in the neighborhood for the sake of uniformity and consistency among the property owners in that subdivision.
527. 6/11/21 was, okay. So, just to recap, we have a permit. It's 2 chickens with a rent. I call it rent a chicken. The trustees, nothing has changed from the last application we showed you. We do have a copy of the covenants. We do have a copy. Mike, you've been to the site and everything per the code is good. So.
Is
Yes.
there any penalty?
Name and,
Oh,
sorry.
just, oh, you're
I'm
good.
getting used to this, sorry
Fred-
again.
Okay, Fred Thomas, 516 Briarbrook Run. My question is there any penalty for having the chickens without having the permit?
I guess everything has a penalty.
Have we gotten a complaint? Can you do anything without a complaint?
We can address.
What would be the complaint process?
You fill out there's a complaint form. So,
It would be a notice violation, order to remedy, and then appearance ticket. By the time court comes, we can probably get rid of the chickens and it'd be kind of mute.
Okay. Trustees?
I move that we accept, that we issue the permit.
Moved by Dan.
I'd like to see if you would amend that motion. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there, maybe talk, well, or should we second it and then do it, or what?
Yeah.
I wanna ask a
Go
question
ahead.
about doing
Go
the
ahead.
whole thing. So what do you want me to do, second it? and
yes.
then- All right, so I'll second the motion. But given in the light of what you said with the covenants and with the village, my opinion is that as far as the village is concerned, with the application and with the chickens, we would normally issue you a permit for having the chickens. But because there is covenants, restrictive covenants on the thing, that looks like it could get us in trouble, or you in trouble, or somebody in trouble, I would amend that, I would see if Dan would amend his motion to the fact that we would issue the permit upon your providing our codes officer with proof that you're in compliance with those covenants, or you get an excuse from those covenants for having the chickens there, because the covenants exist that says you're not supposed to have them.
Yes. I would.
Yeah, okay.
You know, then it protects everybody. We're looking to protect the village, obviously. You're looking, I want you to have the chickens if you can have them. I have no problem with you having the chickens. But I can't do anything about a covenant on a piece of property. If you get that resolved, then go for the chickens. In the meantime, do they get rid of them? I don't know, but we can, that'll
With
be up to
respect to
complaint.
Mike's requested amendment, just, the board should remember that it is not a party to the restrictive covenants. It's an issue you can consider if you feel appropriate based on what you know about the Briarbrook neighborhood.
So we can't make it based on the covenants?
Yeah, you're supposed to make your decision based on the village code.
Okay.
So we can't protect ourselves on the covenants. So what you just said to him for advice about a neighborhood suing us or the chicken people suing us, right? Is that what I'm understanding? We can't protect ourselves from that situation?
No, it says, if you grant the permit, note that everything in the order under the village code and that the restrictive covenant is more contractual matter between the residents of the Briarbrook subdivision. So it's a civil matter, not.
There's nothing you're gonna do to protect yourself from getting sued. You know.
Depends on who's gonna sue me, one or a group or whatever, you know, I mean.
Sue you if they're not satisfied with the decision, or any one of the residents of Briarbrook, or all of the other residents of Briarbrook can sue you, because they feel like you're not honoring their covenants. But you're not bound by their covenants, so technically.
Whoa, we don't have to honor their covenant.
No,
Correct.
absolutely
Oh,
not.
God,
They
scared
can
me.
still sue you
Right.
because you didn't, but you're not a part of those covenants, so you're not bound.
I'm gonna forget to say this, so I wanna say it now. I'm gonna use my line again, Josh, sorry. I hope everybody understands. This is, for a lack of a better term, this is a chicken and an egg here, because I gotta tell you, if we say yes, something's gonna happen to us. If we say no, something's gonna, I mean, either way, and I hope people understand, that this is not, we like chickens. There's a reason why we like chickens, because there's a lot of things that benefit the residents, but this one, because of the covenants, is pretty difficult. So, yes, Scott.
Scott Elmer, 511 Briarbrook. First of all, we're not going to sue the village over 2 chickens that we're renting for 3 months. Second of all, the covenant is rather vague. They mention poultry, but they also mention that, you know, you can have animals for the pleasure of the family. The 2 complainers right now don't even live next to us. They wouldn't even known about this unless we applied. So I'm not sure why it affects the people that are objecting.
Okay.
If you want to file a violation, be my guest. I haven't seen you for 8 years.
Okay.
Never seen you in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so Ted, they have to either say yes or no. They can't say yes with a covenant or no with a covenant, so.
The board's free to
Yes.
do what the board wants to
Okay.
do.
But by saying anything, it's not gonna make a difference
But,
one way or the
yes,
other.
Right. So I think you should rescind your motion and just say, we'll go back to the original motion to approve the grant, or to approve the application as
To
submitted.
approve the permit.
Will you second,
I'll second
re-amend
it,
your
yeah,
motion?
that's
Okay.
fine. I thought we could do something to help.
I did
protect
too.
this.
All, Dennis, are you there?
Dennis
You can't
doesn't,
vote.
He
Okay.
can't vote.
Dennis really doesn't like
Okay.
chickens.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? your permit is approved. So you will go through the code enforcement officer to go through everything. So, okay? Do you have the other one,
Remember,
Lori?
I saw your chicken there the other day and I didn't
Okay.
file.
Next is 126 East Genesee Street. Applicant. Mike was there today. Mike, everything's in order?
Yes, that's good.
We have a picture of it. It's in the
Let's
back
see.
of the, it's in the
Oh,
back.
yeah.
It goes under the, so they have a garage and it goes underneath.
Like
Was there
that.
chickens there originally?
There
like, when
have
it
been
was-
chickens there. Wait a minute. There must have been a permit issue
No,
a
this
long
was
time ago. There's
Wow.
been chickens there for over a year.
when the Morgans. No.
We got rid of those a long time ago.
Go take
But you
care
did
of
have
that.
chickens, right?
Yeah.
We never had a permit.
When I found out we needed a permit, we got rid of the chickens. We
Oh.
adopted them out to a lady who uses birds
Okay.
for therapy.
What happened to those chickens?
We gave them to a lady who
Yeah.
uses chickens.
I thought you
I
were
saw
taking
chickens
care of
there.
that.
Can you go check on that? Just make sure everything's okay. Okay, so we need a motion to, go ahead and approve the,
Yeah.
you move? Okay.
I just.
Need a second?
Second.
Second.
I couldn't tell it to them, but just so you know, Victoria, if we have, the way this law is written, if the Board of Trustees receives a complaint, or if we have issues, the permit can be pulled immediately. So I just want to let you know, not that we have never had to do it, but I want everybody to know.
We're surrounded by the sound of dogs on the side of us.
So,
You never hear a peep out of my chickens.
okay. Any other comments, questions from the Board of Trustees? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Is he locked? He's locked out.
You're good?
Thank you.
Okay. Number 6, this is a continuation of the public hearing. We were waiting to hear back from SACPA. We have not heard from SACPA yet, correct, Ted?
Correct. So we should just
So,
continue it. to-
okay, so what we will do is be putting that on the next agenda in July. Did anybody come here tonight to speak about the outdoor storage that wants to speak? Number 7 is a tree at 113 Euclid. We got a call.
We got a call, you were there to take a picture, I couldn't print the picture that you took, but you
Sorry.
probably have it on your phone.
So I took a picture from, they sent us a picture from the front. I thought it was important to get a picture from both sides, because if you look, that picture is very hard to see.
Is it archery?
I was
It's
there.
carved out like an L.
I was there.
So I just wasn't sure if everybody had a chance to go down there, so I took pictures.
I didn't. Is it archery?
Um,
I think you have a, yes, it is.
Yes,
It is. It's on
there,
our, it's on our thing.
Yeah.
It's on the DPW.
Yeah, you can, there it is, it's a little better there. See how they
No,
just,
Southfield and I don't have.
the whole top's missing
No,
from the
yeah.
wires.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, that's the one, actually,
don't have
I'm
one.
confused, that's the
Did
one.
Leslie
people
say
wanted to
anything?
take down themselves.
Mike?
Yes, sent with this email's from
They wanna
Leslie.
pay for it?
They pruned
It's
the
our
maple
tree.
tree last year. The sewer appears to be quite far away from the main trunk of this tree. I was taught that the village does not remove healthy trees because the homeowner does not like this. Many years ago, I worked on tree laws. The tree was removed by a homeowner, should be replaced by a caliber measure. This has not been mentioned for years, but should be considered. The homeowners wanted this tree removed. The wires, that is why I spent quite a bit of time pruning this tree. So basically, she's saying if they want to pay to have it taken down, they can, but they have to put a tree back up in its place because of the look of. So we have to make a decision. But ironically, if you look 2 doors down, this one's that one's worse.
Yeah, they
And they're not
cut them off.
asking to have
Right.
that
Look at
one.
mine.
I'm not asked, I was asked to look at Euclid, not yours, so.
Oh, God, what a mess.
So what would we like to do at 113 Euclid? Are we okay with having the resident take it down at their cost and planting a new tree? Or do we want to just leave the tree up?
Yeah. I want them to, I don't want to take it down.
Well, if they want to take it down, they can pay for it, and then they would have to work with Leslie on what kind of a tree would go back in its
Okay, so we need a
place.
motion to.
So I'll make that motion that we can allow the homeowner to remove the tree
And it is our tree for sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And that they would
I
have
thought
to
it was a little
replant
sketchy.
by the, what do you want to say, what date you want to say, because I don't want it to go forever, so
Yes.
by a certain date, so
By the end of
November-
August. How's
The
that?
end of August?
No, usually in the fall. it's-
Usually in the
Oh,
fall is
sorry.
better, so
Sorry.
I'd say like by the end of November,
Okay.
that they have to have it, then if
Are
they
you good
don't
with that
replace
amended
it, then
motion?
we can.
Sure.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Bishop's Brook change order, I just wanted to bring everybody up. I don't need approval for a change order, but I will tell you there's been 2 change orders that I'm just waiting for the cost on. If you looked at the wing wall, remember I told you that one of the wing walls came down?
Mhm.
So I'm waiting for the extension of the rocks, that cost for that. And then if you look, they were putting cement, it was called for cement in one side, but not the other side, so we added cement to both sides now. So that's the only 2 change orders right now, I'm just waiting for the cost of that. They're progressing, they're at the other end now. If you've had a chance to go down there, you'll see that we're at the other opposite end, and we're starting that side. We still have some work to do as soon as they get the additional rocks. We have another layer to go up, but it's progressing and it's on time. As soon as they're done with that, then we move to limestone for the bank stabilization and the riparian wrap and the veins inside of Limestone Creek to get rid of that island that this does. So, any questions on it?
No, I'm impressed at the speed that they're doing this.
Yeah. They're- I think we got the right contractor, so. Okay. ARP funding update. The State Controller's Office issued some new guidance as of last week. Lori has a copy of this. We're working through this. Again, we will not see the funds until July 28th at the earliest. So if you have any ideas or things that you think, I'll get a copy of this to everybody. It tells you what you can use it for, what you can't. But if you have ideas of funds that you want to see us use, remember we get half this year, half next year.
Where's it coming from? The state?
It's coming through the state. The federal government has given the state the money, but now the state has to go through all the paperwork and the process. I had to sign a form that said I was or electronically sign that I was the chief financial officer, executive officer. I've done that, and now the controller is giving some pretty good guidance, and we know exactly what we can and
So-
can't do with it.
So the state, it's not gonna go state, county, and then us?
No,
Good.
no, it goes from the state to
Good.
us, so. Yes,
Can we give input on that?
absolutely. If you have some ideas, as long as it fits into their
Guidelines.
guidelines, and their guidelines are interesting.
Okay.
So, if you want, I can get you a copy. It's a little bit dry, but,
Lori's great.
okay, yeah.
Because it came email,
Yeah.
so it's very easy for me
Yeah.
to forward.
Thanks, Lori.
Yeah. Some of it we've gotten grants for already, you know, a perfect example, I was selling to Surrey tonight, and he's helping us with the dog park, he's helping us with the salt shed at the DPW garage, he's helping us with a municipal roof. So there's some things that we were planning on using for that he's helping with. Senator Mannion's helping us with another grant, so now we have to start, you know, a perfect example is somebody said, why can't we have a 4th fountain in the Beard Pond on the backside to help move the water on that backside? It's not moving very well. There's, you know, something that'll last a long time. So, you know, there's certain things like that I think are important. You know, everything. You know, we have a proposal here for one that the county's going to help us with. So there's a fair amount of things, but we want to be. What I'm looking at is things that we wouldn't be able to do normally that'll have a long-lasting impact on the
Things
village.
that are hard to get in a grant fund for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But-
One of the key issues to that though is they want it to be a one-time expense.
Yeah.
So it's not a reoccurring in a.
Yeah, so like this slate roof, that was gonna be one of ours, but we got asked to put a grant together, so we put a grant together, but it's the original one from 1932. All the felt has dried out, they're plucking off. So the church is redoing theirs with a new eco-friendly product, so we're looking at doing that same type of process with this eco-friendly product. So it worked out perfect. That's a one-time thing, you know. The funds didn't come in at a great time because there's other one-time things that we've already done through grants or spent our own money on for the DPW garage or the fire department and things like that. But if you have an idea, obviously, yeah, the more input we can get, the better off. And we have until 2024 to spend the money, so it's not like we're rushed to spend this money. But like anything else, I always use the example, everything is getting more and more expensive. You know, very few things are getting cheaper. Things are gonna cost more and more and more as the longer we wait, so. But I just wanted to give an update. The earliest we will see the money, and we do have good guidance, is the 28th. So.
I would like to have that shared on the website, that guidance from the comptroller. I think technically.
Marguerite, I can forward you the same email.
I don't want to forward it on my email. I want everybody to be able to access it, as they should have been able to this evening.
Marguerite, I will try to link it on our website. It's just from the state. I'm sure it's there. There's nothing I'm trying to hide. I will try to.
Just
get
came
a
in
link
today,
to
Marguerite.
it.
Okay,
Just came in today.
beautiful.
So
So-
I can give you my copy if you'd like my copy. We have
Yeah.
nothing to hide. We
Yes,
have
okay.
absolutely nothing to hide.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm not implying that you have anything.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
You can say all you want, Marguerite, please. Annual agreements, Clerk
and
Corset.
you can say all you want
Here's-
to, but
Okay,
I'm a
We need a
citizen,
motion to authorize
so
the
I
mayor
don't
to
appreciate
sign
being
executive agreements
disrespected in that
with the
fashion.
Fayetteville Free Library, the Fayetteville Recreation Committee, the Matilda Jocelyn Gage Foundation, and the Manlius Historical.
Make
There
a
are annual
motion that
agreements.
we would approve the annual agreement.
Per the budget.
Per the budget.
Per the budgets. Moved. Need a second?
Second.
Oh, the youth, I'm sorry. Did I get, yeah, I got
Yeah, you did.
recreation. Yep, okay.
Senior center.
Library, senior
Library.
center, Manlius Historic, yeah,
Yep.
okay. Any discussion?
You might have Gage in there too.
There's the senior center, yep.
You might have Gage in there too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Lori, next is the Health Insurance Consortium.
I have some information from the Greater Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium. Mayor Olson at the NICOM conference in March found out some information about this possibility. So we are looking to send in a notification of interest application to be able to compare this to what our current health insurance plan is. This is something that would not, if we chose to do this and it was favorable, it wouldn't happen until January 1st, 22.
Have you heard about this?
No, sounds good.
Yeah, it's, and so far what we've been able to glean, they won't let us go any farther until we sign this, but the rates are even, how much did we figure?
It's, here, family, the difference currently, if I were to compare the family plan to what we pay now is, the total premium is $2,501 and theirs is $1,830.
And it's the same thing.
It's a,
No,
no.
I
it's a-
believe this is an Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield product. Ours is a UMR. So it is a similar, you know.
Yes, it's
like
Similar
insurance.
deductibles and
Yes.
different
Yes,
things
it's a
like
platinum
that.
plan versus,
Yes.
it's still HSA, it's still the same, it's just a different
They're metal
carrier.
plans, they're
Yeah.
metal co-pays, they're not high deductibles, so
Which
Do
is
you know
what we
if
had
they
before.
have dental?
I do not know that yet. But in the past, when we did switch, I will say that we kept dental, because years ago, we were with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yes.
And we had our
Kept
medical
dental
with
and
Blue
vision.
Cross, and we kept dental with, which was at the time
Okay.
Comco. So if they
I think it's
don't,
worth
we
looking
still have that
into.
ability.
So we need a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the, it's not an agreement, it's
So
a,
moved.
what's it called?
Notice of interest.
Notice of
application.
interest application.
I
Moved
will
by
move
Pam,
that.
seconded. I appreciate, the mayor of Manoa actually turned me on to this, through NICOM, so I appreciate his help.
So you think that the
So I'll get you-
co-pays
I'll
and
get you-
things are gonna be about the same?
Well, I just only have their current plan now that I went online to find, and, well, right now, we have a high deductible in most cases, but we do have a traditional copay that some, and it seems to be, you know, if you're in network, we want $15 copay, which is what we have now. Special is 25, and the pharmacy is the same tiers, 5, 35, 70, so it is only, it's not for retired, well, let me back that up, it's not for 65 and older.
Right.
Because that's a different.
And we're still with Blue Cross and Blue Shield on
Yes,
that
we're still with
anyways,
that.
so that's our Medicare.
Well,
part.
I just don't want a whole bunch of firemen, medics, and DPW guys come
Well,
up here
this is just a notice of
screaming.
interest, so we get information. We
Right.
couldn't do anything if it was something that wasn't, you know,
Okay.
a like product.
All right.
If we don't get started now, we're gonna run out
Yes.
of time.
Okay.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you again. DPW, trustee Small.
Okay, got your memo. So basically the projects, the DPW has been locked, but it will reopen to the public on July
Yeah, whatever
July 6th, I guess it is, right? After the 4th of July holiday, which is Monday.
Yes.
So July 6th, the DPW will be back open to the public. But you can always call the 315-637-6065 number if you just want them to bring you or deliver a blue bin or to figure stuff out with them. For the 4th of July holiday, this was worked out with the union, I believe.
Correct.
And the mayor. The DPW workers will be off on July 2nd, beginning at 2 p.m. through the weekend, and they will return to work on July 6th at 6 a.m. And it will be a Tuesday to Friday, and they will be to their 10-hour days starting next week.
The way the contract works, the timing is a little bit off because of the where July 4th fits this year, so
Yeah.
we negotiated to just move it and change it around. That way we didn't affect the trash routes, so we start on Tuesday and Wednesday. And everything seems to go well, so they agreed. So.
Sanitary sewer calls, still you can call the DPW, but WEP has taken over the sewers. That hasn't changed from previous announcements at meetings. Limestone Bishop Brook, we just talked about with Mark with the update. Carriage Hill, the rotted out storm line under the road, that's still under work, right?
Yep.
Ledyard Dyke, we approved that we would hire Jim Craw to do that cleanup and things at Route 92. Parks for the playground equipment, Washington Colder Parks. I believe they're finished at Washington Park. Colder Park, they're waiting on a swing set to be delivered. They needed to get more mulch for them, and it should be delivered around July 12th. And the basketball court, pickleball thing, where I'll be working on that.
We'll work on it when we do it. So
When
Pam,
you
I
do
don't know
the
if you
paving.
noticed, we moved the fence back. We got a call today from a resident who wondered why. That one section at Coulter could be used, so we moved the fence back so that one section, the rest of it we can't use until we get the safe mulch, and the safe mulch is back ordered until the 12th
Till
of
the
July.
12th.
I just got mauled this last weekend with people asking about it.
So we moved the fence back today,
Okay.
tightened the fence back up, and we
The-
agreed with the resident that we thought it should be able to be
The
used again.
biggest question I got asked though, Mike, is will they be able to utilize the rest of it until the swing set gets installed, or will the swing set get, put up really fast once
I think that
mulch
once they
gets
get the
put in?
mulch, they can access any of it.
Right.
And then when the swings get there, they'll put the rest of that
The
out
swing
or
set goes
whatever.
in
Right.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
Once the mulch goes in, we're gonna
They
take the
can
fence
use
down
it.
and they can
Okay.
use it.
Once the mulch is what they're waiting on right now or whatever. And obviously if the stuff isn't there, they can't use it, but as soon as they get it and get it in, that'll be ready to be used too. To the dog the dog park, the fence poles are in place, the fencing will start by Arrow Fence soon. Canal Landing, Feeder Street, the areas around those two houses are mowed and being evaluated about demolition.
Do you want me to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Lori worked on this, and we got two estimates to have the houses torn down and removed. So we got two proposals. One was let's just say 39,300. The other proposal is 33,900. I'm not asking for approval tonight, but I am letting the Board of Trustees know that I have submitted this 33,900 to the county as part of their ARP fund program to see if they could give us the funds to tear that house down, because it fits into their comprehensive guidelines and plan for that area to do parklands and things, and this is a one-time.
There is one thing I wanted to mention on that, when both of the bidders did give me those, they're very, I think they were very good with their numbers, because they're slow now, but now that school's out, they indicated that their workload will pick up.
Right.
So, and there's a 10-day notice they have to give for asbestos removal, so
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know that we could be put off longer.
Okay,
when
we could take the funds, not that there's a rush, but we could take the funds out of the pending ARP funds that are coming in if we wanted. Or we have the money in the parks and try to get a grant for it. So, if you want to move forward. If not, we can wait and let the chips fall where they may, and it gets done when it gets done.
But we do also have that grant that I'm actually
Yes.
sending on an RFP to engineers, because I have to do that.
That's part of the grant
That is
process.
part of the grant process, and that'll be soon as well.
So
everything is gonna
I
start
sent this
happening
to Isabel Harris, who's the county point person for the funds.
So if we wait
And
till-
they have received their money.
If we wait till the next meeting, is that gonna put us off too long?
I'm not sure if they've even got to that point where they can,
Yeah.
but we could ask, yeah, we could, I
mean,
can put it
don't
on the
know
next
what
agenda, yeah.
What the best decision is,
Yeah.
but we should
Okay.
probably decide sooner than later. I'm fine with deciding even tonight if we need to, but.
No, I'll put it on and then
I'm
we'll
just
just,
wondering if it
yeah.
would give us
Yep.
that much more information.
and if anybody wants to see a copy of it, it's just the proposals from two different, not the word, what is the word I'm looking for? Certified contractors to do that type of work.
Yeah.
So,
What are two choices that they,
American
Getting-
Rescue Plan funds through the county.
okay.
We've applied already, so we're just waiting to hear yes or no. And then we take it out of the Parks Reserve.
And then the weeds along the feet have been mowed down by the town, it appears, to them.
Yes, good.
The backside, Main Street, crosswalks, things like that are going on, of course. Just saw the driveway to finish LED upgrade, they didn't get any more on that rate, Lori, or
On the what?
LED upgrade for the lights or
No, I don't
anything?
know why I don't have that, I think it's just waiting on
Yep.
the order, it's just a backlog.
Right.
from this equipment.
The painting in Limestone Plaza, directing one-way traffic down there.
Yep. She
Letters
started to draft the
going,
letter, I
or
just need
getting ready to
to,
go out.
she's been out for a few days, so as soon as she gets back, we'll finalize that letter.
Yeah.
We're just letting the business owners know what we're doing, so.
Bridges are Walnut and West Franklin, still the same.
Yep.
Right-of-way permit, it'd be working into putting that into effect now that it's completed. Retaining basins, Barbara Run, they will be cleaning them out, the outfall areas to the main flow, main flow, that's what we've done in the past.
Does everybody understand what that is? That's the
Yeah,
cattails.
that's those
the
cattail
cattails.
things, yep.
Yep.
And then road work, milling out the roads and repaving in the Brookside area, Shady Lane, Veneta Lane, and Upper Brookside Lane, possibly starting in late July. Cash and Drive and Aladdin might be added if budget money allows.
Yeah, we gave him the total of what we have.
Right, so he knows what to
Told him
do.
not to go over that a month.
We'll be working that. As far as street purchases, three different things. So there's a tree on Huntley that needs to come down, 219 Huntley Ave. And the amount from Bartlett Tree is $485. Make a motion that we would hire them to remove the tree. There's
by Mike.
power lines going through it,
Second.
that's why we're hiring them.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
There is a tree also at 303 Southfield Drive, same types of conditions with a proposed price of $525. Make that in the form of a motion.
Moved by Mike, need a second?
Second.
Second by Dan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And then I have a proposal from Bartlett Tree to remove, spray for weeds and invasive plants. Mostly, I believe we're talking about poison ivy at the dog park.
Yes.
Area, and that's the amount of $490. To make that motion that we would approve
Second.
that.
Moved and seconded by Pam. Any discussion?
Just be careful.
Yeah, it's, well, it's,
You know, if somebody goes in the dog park and they end up with poison ivy.
it's not gonna be inside the fence, so that's why we're doing this.
Well, some people don't have to, all they gotta do is be
They go outside the
10
fence.
feet away from it.
Right, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Trustee Kinsella, applications?
Yep, got a lot of them. Ready.
Sorry. Sorry.
Nick,
His day off, what do you do?
or Kelly, something like that. EMS, so move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All the approvals are in place?
Yes.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Joseph Miller, everything's in place. EMS.
Motion by Dan, need a second?
Second.
Second by Pam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Gloria Hunt, EMS, everything's in line.
Moved by Dan, need a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Zoe Johnson Berman, EMS,
Moved by Dan, need a second?
Second.
Second by Pam. All the signatures are in order?
Yeah, every,
Approvals? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and then we got Crystal Shore, she wants exterior firefighter and medic. So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Pam. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any purchases?
So I would like to use the money that we got for our FEMA reimbursable of $5,800 to buy a new tablet. It's not the same type of tablet we're used to. The county put them out to bid. It's a more robust one. We're having problems with ours overheating. They're just regular household tablets, what we use now, so we wanna try one of these.
Is it more like the Tough Book?
Huh?
Is it more like that old Tough Book?
Yeah, it's really, it's got fans built into it. It's made by Patrol PC. It's what the police departments are using. DeWitt's been using them. They seem to work. They're just $4,300, so they're expensive.
Okay.
But the problem we're having with tablets is you can never get the same one. You buy two, and the next time you gotta buy two, it's a different brand with different cables, and it's really becoming a hassle. So I'd like to take the $5,800 to buy a tablet out of that.
Okay. Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Is that a sole source or is that off county?
It's off, the county did bid it out, but
Okay.
I do have a sole source letter and
Okay.
the contract number.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
So rescue tools. We've been doing the process of purchasing new rescue tools.
Which we approved in May or something, didn't we? Or
Nope.
Or we put the money aside?
We put the money aside to split funding. So with the show coming up, if they got a special, I'd like to move on it. It's $52,000 for the tools. We're gonna do them jointly with Manlius, so we're both buying the same stuff together. And at the same time, I'd like to surplus our two combi tools and sell them to the city of Auburn for $9,500. And they did put it in writing, that they would like to buy them.
Do you have an estimate of what they're, do we have a written estimate of what they're worth?
Do two combi tools?
Yeah.
I do not.
Okay.
I can only go off of what we paid for them, and it was $15,500.
How many years ago?
6.
What do we need?
I,
Don't we have to make sure it's
yeah, I mean, you just have to make sure,
Well, I know intermunicipal, it's a little easier.
it is, I mean, is that, we need fair value, that's really
Right.
all we're looking for.
I mean, I
But
don't
you're
know.
surplusing them,
After 6 years, I don't know what their life expectancy is or what they're worth. I know that they're gonna offer us $3,300 for our system we have now.
In trade.
In
towards the-
trade, yeah, and I'm not doing it.
Right.
So it's like we paid $40,000 or $50,000 for that 10 years ago. So I can't believe it. It doesn't depreciate at least 50% over the 5 years. I mean, I don't know.
And it's a little easier when you go in municipality than municipality, true.
I think it is.
I mean, they just go to City of Auburn, did put a thing in writing today that they
So
wanted
let's
them.
make a motion and just make sure that it fits all the needs of what we
I
have to
think you
do.
can make two separate motions, I would surplus it in one, and
Okay.
then I would authorize to sell it to the city of Auburn. in
So we need a motion to go ahead and surplus. These are the battery operated ones.
Battery operated ones.
Battery operated
So move
extrication
surplus.
tools.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we need a motion
So moved
to,
to sell them to.
Second.
and if you can get an estimate, just,
I'll see if the vendor can give me something in writing, what he thinks they're worth.
okay.
That's the only thing I can do, or go online and see if I can find somebody that's trying to sell them.
So moved and seconded to sell to the
Based-
city of
based-
Auburn
Based
for
on-
9,500 based on the best value.
Based on the value.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then at the show, I'd like to buy the one for $12,103 to,
With the proceeds from the, you
yeah,
have
from
enough
the
in your budget
95, the
line?
rest will come out of my
Well, I
operating
have
budget.
95.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. When is the show, chief?
July 14th to the 17th.
Okay.
Where?
And is it State Fairgrounds?
It's at the On Center.
On center.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nate Baker's returning, Monday the 5th. We've postponed his entry to like 9 o'clock. We're gonna try to do one of those big welcome things for him. So, if someone's, hopefully he's not watching.
Oh, yeah, what, that's a Monday?
Okay, we can.
It's Monday, July 5th.
Right.
So.
What time?
9 o'clock. So if you could be there a little early, that'd be great.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have a bunch of people there.
Okay.
So that'd be nice. There's a issue going on with hospital wait times, and this is, you're gonna wanna know this. We're waiting 75 minutes or longer at the hospitals to drop patients off. The other night, our rig went to Lafayette, one went to the city, NAVAC took one of our calls. So they waited 10, 12, 15 minutes to get here because our rigs are out of the area. Malius was out, Manoa was out, there's nothing left. So we're working on drafting a letter with our medical director's advice. He can't put his name on it because it would be a conflict of interest, but he's gonna guide us along this way to force some hands to see if there's something we can do about it, because 75 minutes is a long time to have two guys sitting at the hospital
Yep.
waiting for a hospital bed.
And that's our biggest fear, is that we're not able to take care of our fire district if we're
Yeah.
stuck there or stuck on somebody else's call that's not providing proper staffing or property levels. You told me earlier today when we talked, AMR's having issues.
Yeah, AMR's they're offering these huge incentives to go there and work. I mean, a new employee, they're giving like $7,500 sign-on bonus and $3,000 stipends on their pay. And I mean, that's nothing that we're gonna ever compete about. They're not gonna, our guys would never leave to go there. But what scares me a little bit about that is the part-timers I have. Some of the part-timers may say, hey, you know what? I can make $35 an hour working in the city, or 22 for you. I'm not advocating to give them raises or anything like that. I'm just
Right.
saying that
Right.
because there's some avenues out there. All these people not working is really hurting, and there's a paramedic shortage. So, you saw part of the applications. We got one class coming up. This class is booked out. There's 11 or 12 in this class. We have another one coming up in August that we already have 6 or 7 in the pipeline. So we're doing really good recruiting. We did just terminate a bunch of people, and I'm gonna give you guys a list at the next meeting who to take off the roster.
Okay.
But we did just get rid of a bunch, Joe Hernan being one of them.
Right, saw that.
Yeah, it was voluntary, he
Yeah.
resigned. And then the last thing I have is the apparatus plan that we talked about last month.
Right, so at the last meeting, we talked if you guys had questions or comments, but we need to give direction to the chief so he can move forward with this, because it's gonna take some budgetary planning with Lori, and it's also gonna take time for him and the committee to put this thing together, so.
So what
Dennis did help him with this spreadsheet too,
Yeah.
since the last meeting, so.
So since the last meeting, the price came down from $135 to $116 a year. So we've already saved $19,000. And as you can see on the spreadsheet, the payment fits into the whole plan with a nice healthy reserve, carrying the amount of money that we're carrying of $300,000. And it's a reduction in taxes immediately to everybody, because it's $67,000 less than last year. Or is it just the town? I think it's just the town.
I don't.
Regardless.
What did Scriba say?
Huh?
What did Scriba say? Did they get back to you?
Scriba did, and they're not willing to commit at this point.
Okay,
And I told them that I was gonna move forward with marketing the vehicle.
okay.
So, we need to put our down payment on this. I think it said by December of this year. So that gives me plenty of time to try to sell the truck.
Okay.
And I came up with a timeline. If I don't have it sold by September, I'm just gonna let the broker sell it. Get the $250 or $225 the broker had told us, so. But basically, this is a 10-year encompassing capital plan without raising taxes or, and keeping everything current and paid for and not incurring any more debt.
Okay. So, well, Lori, what do we need? Just authorization to allow the mayor and the chief to continue to work forward? towards the agreements and, or,
Yes, because I think you're gonna end up signing a contract with them, correct? So that's really what you're gonna have to have authorization to do, and sign a contract with approval of council and.
Yeah, approval of council and, even to put the cap in there, not to exceed the payment of 116. Cause that fits, that's fine.
mm,
You know, if anything changes, then obviously we'll come back to the board, but, remember, this is a joint purchase with Manlius. So with my vehicles and his vehicles, by one vendor, buying off of HGAC, we're gonna save a substantial amount of money over the 10-year period. It was over $900,000.
But Manlius already approved this.
Tomorrow night.
Okay, so as long as they approve it, I mean, as long as it all works still, I mean, we can approve it, but I don't
Yep.
wanna approve it if they're not gonna go with you, because you're not gonna get these
Well,
prices, obviously.
I think
or
Mark
whatever,
is.
so. I think they're fine with
already
it.
and-
No, I'm sure,
and
I'm
he's
just
met,
saying, like
yep,
in.
and the chief has met with
Yeah.
the trustees, so.
So
But that's
I-
a great point. So,
I would make a motion that we authorize the mayor to sign contracts appropriate to this plan with approval of council.
Second.
and with the-
okay, moved and seconded. Pam, any questions?
No.
Chief, or,
The
Dan?
the only question is, you know, you gotta keep up, you know, you gotta keep it right there in front of you, you know, it's gotta be right in front of you the whole time.
It's, yeah, I mean, this is a working document that, I mean, sort of Pat does it already. Tells you in the beginning of, in the budget cycle, what's due that year. And thank God in here, we don't have to go get leases, the money will be there.
Right.
So that's our saving grace.
Okay,
We'll have to take one lease payment for everything, and that's for the initial trucks.
keep that right in front of you.
Good.
I like the money.
No, my only, you know,
How did that drop? Did it just,
Everything's coming off of payments. It's a perfect storm for us. Our debt load's coming way down because everything's paid for, and we're due for a truck. So to do something like this, we're buying with them, we're saving money, and we streamlined everything to be able to get everything we wanted all over the 10-year period.
no, it's good.
Dennis? Mike,
no, I think it's a good plan. I talked to.
do you have any comments on the chiefs? I know you looked at the
The numbers
spreadsheet.
look good to me last time I looked at them. I haven't
Right.
seen a revised, this is a revised numbers yet, but
The number just, it went, the reserves go a little bit, you know, there's no year where we're really in trouble like the DPW, so.
yeah. I mean, it's just a balancing act.
Yes,
That's
correct.
what it was. So I thought it was a good idea.
Okay.
No, my only comment is that it might be hard to stick with a 10-year plan because things change or whatever, but I think we really need to kind of stick with the 10-year plan and just see how it works out or whatever and stuff. You know, there's times where we've done stuff early or we've done stuff late based on other situations that have come up, but I think if we're going into this as a plan, we should, as much as possible, and I don't want to limit us from saving money, more money in the future over a different decision, but
Mhm.
just so that we can just see how this works or whatever and stuff, you know, mostly or whatever.
Yeah, Mark, I think, Mike, that's a good point. It really is the only drawback is that once you make that decision, you really have to stick to it. So, which I think is fine, but it does change your flexibility.
And the other part of this is that at the end of 10 years, you turn it back into the vendor or you sell it outright with already a determined amount of money, and you get all new. So you start
Right.
it over again at 10 years, so your fleet's not aging, your maintenance costs aren't going through the roof. So it's all working in the same fashion where, you know, you keep your stuff kind of current with current standards and times, and it's easier to work that way.
Not at the same rate though, at a
It'll be
progressive
in
rate.
10 years from now, it'll be a different payment,
Yeah,
so.
cause.
No, my only point is like there are
get
times where
cheaper.
we've replaced something or bought something based upon the timing of it.
Yeah.
It made sense to do that. It's not gonna make so much sense if it
Yeah.
alters our 10-year like goals here or
Yeah.
whatever. That's all I'm bringing it up for. But I don't wanna limit us from making a change to the 10-year plan if it's gonna help us in a different, in a better way
Yep.
than what we got here, so.
But, and I think every year we'll continue just to hand it in when we hand our budget in, so you see it.
Yeah.
You'll know what's due, what we're supposed to, what our intentions of buying that year are, and,
Right.
so there's hopefully some stuff can come off of here that we've asked for grant money for, so, that'll be the other saving grace for us.
Okay.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's work towards it too. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll do roundtable, and then we have to go into executive session for advice of counsel. There'll be no action after. Pam?
Were we gonna have a party in the plaza?
Yeah.
You
August
said it at
19th.
the last meeting, it's in the meeting
Yeah,
minutes.
August
Yeah.
19th.
19th.
August, okay, I didn't see it on.
August 19th. It's on
Um,
I thought it was on the website.
Okay,
The Chamber of Commerce is actually helping, and the chief is helping us too. He
Okay.
secured the,
Los Blancos.
thank you very much.
for some reason I was thinking we were gonna do it July, my memory.
Nope, July is
Symphony.
the Syracuse Symphony. August.
Right.
August is Party in the Plaza. September is the Fayetteville Festival.
My
And if
memory.
everything works out okay and everything goes well, we're still all very healthy and happy, and
We'll
might do
one
another Party in the Plaza in October.
October, that's right.
Have an
Forgot you said that.
Oktoberfest.
I gotta take it
I'll be
out.
in Key West, so have fun.
Okay. Anything else, ma'am?
No.
Dan?
Just on the roundtable, I had someone call me and say that they wanted to be part of it, but they couldn't get the work done by the December 31st, because everything's back.
Okay.
Yeah, she called me as well.
Okay.
And actually, I have talked to Marty about that, and they do understand that, so it might end up, we'll have to cross that bridge, but we gotta get the applications in here.
Okay.
And we heard from
Right,
two other
yes.
business owners today
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
So
All
so
right.
get the applications in.
Okay,
and
as
we'll
long
go
as
from
you
there.
heard it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I told her I'd bring it up.
Dennis, do you have anything for roundtable?
Hey, no, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Michael?
So I had a call the other day from our village historian, Barbara Rivette, who has been in contact, or Carrie Rose has been in contact with her, a former village resident that's quite interested in the history of the area, particularly the schools in Fayetteville, Manlius, and everything. And he is applying to the state for a historic sign to be placed in front of Wellwood, one of the roadside types of historic signs. And so he is looking for a letter of support from Manlius Historical. She felt that a letter of support for such a thing from the Village of Fayetteville would be appropriate and beneficial to them, which doesn't cost us anything. So I'd make a motion that, or I don't know if we're gonna do it right now,
Yeah.
or find more, but make a motion that the village would write a letter of support in regards to the historic sign of Wellwood. So I'll do that first, and then I'll continue the
Did she
conversation.
tell you what to say in the letter?
No, but we'll work
I'll
with her
get
on
a-
that.
I'll
I mean,
get
I
a-
just want to get the permission that we could send the letter.
I'll get a
Second.
hold of, I'll get a hold of
Moved
Carrie.
by Mike, need a second?
Second.
Second by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The only other thing that she had mentioned was the cost of that particular sign is around $4,000. And she was, Carrie Rose had said he would handle the financial parts of getting donations and stuff for it, but they might need a little help from perhaps from the village. So I'm not asking for any money right now, but just putting that little seed into your head so that when I come back and ask you for money, you'll remember that we not only supported it with a letter, but we might
Right.
want to give them a couple of dollars. And they're not asking us for the $4,000, but, we'll see how it goes with, there's a lot of people that have a lot of attachment to that school because when they were going to tear it down and things, there was a lot of support to keep it.
Yeah.
Dan would have been really sad. So. Anyways, that's
Okay.
where we're at. That's
Good.
all I have.
Lori?
I have a lot.
Good.
So, first off, I should introduce Charlotte Knudsen, who I met today.
Thank you for coming.
Met with her and her father, Dr. Knudsen, who's the medical director at the fire department, and Charlotte took the initiative. She would like to learn more about local government right now, so she's going to come in and be a volunteer intern with us starting on Wednesday. Schedule will be just a few hours a week or whatever works out best, and we're gonna work on the climate smart community maybe
Action
working
plan.
towards that goal.
Oh, good.
So she's picked a good meeting to come to.
Yeah.
She chose to come in person instead of watching the box cast, so, thank you. The other, so what I have here is, several things. The first one is we have not updated our code book since 2017. We have several local laws that we've adopted since then. The last time was Local Law 6 of 2017, so I have an estimate from General Code Publishing to update through 2018, 2019, and 2020. But I think they only have one, and the cost would be between 12, they can't, if we have a few more, so it's gonna be between $12.90 and $15.35. If we do have enough money in, I would end up putting it in the clerk's budget, instead of codes or anything, but we do need to get an update.
So we need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So that's that one. I did receive a dispute letter, was forwarded to me from Multi-Med Billing. It says attached this letter of dispute on a no transport charge for a particular run. This is not covered by her insurance. We did, in the comment on the bill was, we did not ask for any services on 5/20. We did not call your company for help, and we do not have insurance to cover this. It's a $150 bill, so they're asking for it to be waived.
Is it a town of Manlius resident?
Yes, it's probably ours. It's this, 7220 East Genesee Street.
Yeah, it's in the fire district. Yeah.
It bounds.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
So the place called, not the
Terrible.
people.
yeah, they call, they can't
have
buy,
to, yeah.
they can't pick them up. They have to call
Yeah,
us.
they stopped doing that.
They stop, so they call us.
Right.
So
No,
today alone, we were on the phone and another lift, he had 2 lift assists, we were on the phone today.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, this service is not, to get there, drive down, it's not free. But we have a policy that if it's in the town, that we waive.
Too bad the other
Fire
villages
district, I'm
don't.
sorry, fire district now, so.
Too bad the other villages don't.
Okay.
So I would need a
It's all
motion
soft
for
bill.
that.
Right, soft bill.
Insurance doesn't pay for any of it.
Right.
So we need a motion. If we don't want a motion, we don't have to, but,
So it's $150 they don't want to pay us.
right.
Oh, I can stay on the floor.
I made a motion.
Okay, Pam moved, we need a second. I will approve the second. Any other discussion? This is gonna be a
So
tie
is it-
vote. It's gonna be a tie vote, I know it. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Okay.
So that was that one. So I have a solicitor's permit I received, the end of today, but since it's so long in between, it's Fox Pest Control. They would like to go door to door in the village for purposes of soliciting sales and other responsibilities, for pest control. I have all of the background, applications filled out for the background check. They paid the $250 fee and the $10 background check fee. I guess it would be, if you approve this, contingent upon the background checks coming back.
So we need a motion to allow the solicitor's application per the application at a standard village hours.
so moved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Lori, we don't have one out for ice cream truck, do we?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, because there is one.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna,
they've been notified.
kids like it.
They do, but Marguerite knows, they've been in our neighborhood a lot lately.
What's
so-
wrong with that?
Taking away the fish and the ice cream.
Right. Next.
The other thing here is I
I like ice cream trucks.
contacted our accountants, Bonadillo and Company, and I asked them to provide me with a letter of engagement to do the 2021 annual update document for the village. It's been several years since we've had our accountant do it. I think given all of the grants that we have and all of the things going on, I think it's good to have another set of eyes on that, getting a proper document into the state. So the cost of that would be assist in the preparation of the annual financial report for fiscal year ending May 31st, 2021. Also provide accounting services necessary to convert information provided to you into financial data necessary to perform the above services. The cost would not exceed $6,000. We're also probably, and it's good because we're probably going to have to do an audit specifically to the grants we receive from federal money, because if we get more than $750,000 in federal money, you have to have a single audit done on that one particular grant.
So between the Safe Routes to School and the,
Yes.
and the washout project.
So are they doing the court too, or just here?
I can ask them to do the court, which is
Well,
also a
it's
good
up to
thing,
you.
because that's just
Okay.
that very quick.
We need a second. Dan moved.
Second.
Second. So I asked Lori to get another price for that second audit, so that we have it and we're ready for it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so there's that. The only other thing I have, and we didn't have a chance to talk about it, Mayor, was this, with Ted, I got him all the information, and I have this storage agreement here for Jesse Schmidt on Old Powder Mill for up there. I don't know if
Okay.
you wanna get approval to.
Yes, so we need a motion to authorize the mayor. So this is, if you know, up at the project, there's some land that we've been storing rocks and stone and everything, so we negotiated 2 months, or 2 years worth of village taxes.
Which is $220.
Right, so that we could use that. We'll return it, the contractor will return it to its original condition, and then we're done. We've been mowing it, we're gonna stop mowing it. So the landowner's gonna take over and start doing it. It's his property, it's his land. We've just always done it. So we need a motion to authorize the mayor to sign this agreement with the party.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else, Lori?
I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Main Street, number one is Main Street Grant. They, the county executive was at our mayor's dinner 2 weeks ago, or last week. He's gonna go for round 2 for the villages and towns. The one thing that's a little different this year is that they're looking for mural sites to do murals of the community, so I was thinking at Canal Landing Park, if we could talk to that Freedom Expresso building and see if that would be. Then I drove by Romano's today and thought, oh my God, that cedar or that cinder block wall might be a nice one. So if you guys think of anything, I want to be ahead of this a little bit and trying to think of a mural site for the village. So if you think of anything, or if you have ideas for round 2, because we have to start putting our application together for round 2. I would imagine it'll come out in September and there'll be the same process before, like we did for the last grant application.
I have an excellent artist in mind.
Okay. They're looking to do local artists too with those, so they want to hire the local artist and do the mural. You know, like I thought a Canal Landing would be perfect with like the one we have upstairs with the limestone and that whole. I think that would be
Who do
beautiful.
I
so.
make that
That's some
contact
ideas.
for the
Tommy.
artist?
Don't do any contacts. Just right now we need the sites, and then when we put our
Oh, okay.
application in, we'll say we have a local artist that's interested.
Okay.
So, the chief on 9/11, it's 20 years. I didn't know if you had any plans to do anything with the 9/11 memorial, but if you do, let us know. The village would be more than supportive. I think it's an important milestone that we honor the correct way.
Okay.
So, newsletter articles. I'd like to do a summer newsletter article. So if you guys, it's our turn. I'm not saying we're going to hand it out. I'm just saying it's our turn for articles. So 2 weeks.
Okay.
In 2 weeks, please have your articles.
In 2 weeks.
And Dennis hung up. So the last thing is we got the dog park names back. And please don't be mad. And one of these is a little bit, but it's the number 2 one. Number 1 is D-O, good, dog park. That had 59 votes. The next one is, this is the one, Doggy McDogface is the number 2 vote getter. And number 3 was the Bark Park. So we have to give Dennis some, all the rest of them were 1s and 2s. Those
I
three
like
were.
1 or 3, I don't like 2.
Okay, how about 1, do, good, dog park?
I think it's fine.
You think that's fine?
Mm-hmm. I'll make a motion if you want.
Okay. Do we have a second for do, good, dog park?
I like number 3.
All right, I'll second it because I like it. I'm sorry, Pam. I like Bark Park. That was my number 2. Number 1 is the do, because it's got do.
Well,
good.
because it's on Do Good
It's
or
on
whatever
Do Good,
road,
so.
you know, that.
Dan?
Okay.
Dan?
That was the only reason I thought
That's the
it
only
was-
reason I.
I don't care.
Well, we have to vote, so all in favor of Do Good Dog Park, say aye.
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 I'm either way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Aye.
Okay.
There we go.
I
So
got
Laura,
one
you got
more.
that information?
I do.
Okay,
I got one more quick thing before
Okay.
executive session.
go ahead.
So I don't know if everybody was notified, but we had a notification from a resident on the corner of Warren and Genesee Street in regards to speeding traffic on the first block of Warren Street, which probably goes all the way down Warren Street. But anyway, the request was made for us to look into that, so I'm going to approach the DPW about putting our smiley face out there so we can see what the actual speeds are, the numbers, things like that, or the police counter, to put that out there to at least start the process of responding to and helping out those people in that street to see.
Which direction, south?
Going in, yeah, from Genesee Street.
That was-
South?
The email came in late at like 4 o'clock tonight, so.
I
That
don't
was
know.
one of the streets that I had made a suggestion for a 25
Thank
mile
you.
per hour speed.
Right, and we haven't really followed through with any of those streets yet,
Yeah.
so I'm just saying that we're gonna
I'm
put
just
the.
saying that was one of the.
Yeah, we're gonna put the
Because I know
sign up.
somebody that lives on that street.
Yep, so
Going fast.
somebody else has contacted us.
Are they going south?
They make the
Anybody
corner and
coming
they
off
say
of
they go
Genesee
fast.
speeds.
So you're gonna have the DPW put up the sign up?
So I just wanted to let you know what was going on with it, yeah, and then we can respond to the people and try and
Okay.
get something resolved.
Okay, all right. So we need a motion to go into executive session for advice of counsel. There'll be no action taken after.
So moved.
You
Second?
need a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right.
What, are we gonna just meet right here?
No, we're gonna go into mine.
Okay, I need just 1 second.
I've gotta go look back.
Me too. You have your face grew.
So I'm sorry, Dan, if you think that I didn't show proper respect to you, I apologize. I apologize for not showing proper
I heard,
respect to you.
I heard you.
And you didn't say anything back, so
No,
I
you're
thought you
right.
did not hear me.
Just like all that social media stuff that people put out there.
I don't
Once-
do
once
any
you-
social media whatsoever, I'm sorry. I don't engage in it, I have no use for it, and
Okay.
I never will do anything with it.
Your comments will be always in my mind,
What
just like in
comments?
social media.
What comment did I make that I do not know exactly what you took offense to? You said I was telling you how to do your job. What did I say that was telling you how to do your job?
Well, you'll have to think back what you said. I don't wanna paraphrase something.
I appreciate that because, you know, sometimes people put words in my mouth that I did not say. So,
Let's go.
I wasn't gonna make a thing of it.
Hey, you took your mask off.
well, because nobody's around here.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, I'm fully vaccinated, but I wear my mask because I just read about the breakthrough that you can get COVID even if you're fully vaccinated.
Oh, right.
And I don't
The
want
new
COVID.
strain.
did you see the, that young woman, Charlotte? Do you think she's left, I think that's her purse.
I don't know, that's a good question, Marguerite. If it's still here when we come out, I'll show it to Lori and let her.
Her purse, yeah.
Purse is there, I don't know if she would allow it or
Oh,
not, but.
do you know, do you have his?
I have his I can email him or
Okay.
text him. I don't have his cell, but I can email him.
You should
Make
take
a
mine, I
motion,
don't
we
have
come
hers.
out of the
Yeah.
executive session.
So we have a motion to come out of executive session.
So
We need a
moved.
second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. Over to Pierce.